Bespoke radio for the masses.
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army.
If the game is rigged, change the game. Game changer.
I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
This is Fade to Black with your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
I need your help to get to the year 1985.
You're listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
All right, happy 4th of July. This is Fade to Black, Bespoke Radio for the masses. That's right, it is Monday, July 4th, 187 days into the new year, 179 days left. We are live from a bunker somewhere in downtown Burbank, California. And I would like to welcome everybody listening all around the world, all across the United States. Hither and thither, to and fro, back and forth, up and down, east and west, north and south, far and near. This is Fade to Black for KJCR, the Game Changer Network, and KGRA, the planet. I'm your oh-so-humble host, Jimmy Church. What is cracking, everybody? Happy 4th. And for everybody that is spending this special night with us tonight, welcome. Tonight, we have with us Manu Intiraymi, director of a new film that's about to come out. It's called The Circuit. You know him from Star Trek Voyager, One Tree Hill. He's going to be with us shortly. In a few minutes, Ronnie McMullen's going to be here from GetTheTea.com, Life Change Tea. Tomorrow night, Victor Vigiani is going to be here to discuss his NORAD document disclosure. Wednesday, Joshua P. Warren is here. We're going to talk about the laws of attraction and all of his latest research. We had to cancel the Voice of Anonymous because in our vetting process, we couldn't connect the voice with the real Anonymous. And as you know, especially with this show, it is all about integrity. So therefore, the show for Wednesday night was canceled. And that is that, just in case you are wondering. Thursday night is another Fader night with Open Lines with John Rappaport and his No More Fake newsroom. Call-in number tonight is 323-825-5045. You can follow us on Twitter at JChurchRadio, Facebook, YouTube. You can follow Manu tonight, also on Twitter, and it is Manu Intiraymi. Very simple. And I think we've got the links out, and it is in YouTube. It is in Twitter. So go and say hello to Manu. He's going to be here shortly. You can email throughout the show, Jimmy@JimmyChurchRadio.com. Sandbox is hashtag F2B. You know what to do. Any questions for myself or Manu throughout the show tonight in real time, just use hashtag F2BQ. So, all right, let's get this show cracking. We've got a big one lined up tonight. And now, if I sound a little weathered, Rita and I just got back late last night from Roswell, New Mexico. I'll talk about that in a minute. But so we drove across the state twice. More on that. Had a great time. Love Roswell, the people there. Big shout out to the city of Roswell. That is a great, great little city. And everybody that we met there couldn't have been nicer or cooler. Just amazing. And we really look forward to going back next year. It was just a tremendous trip all the way around. It was just great. So there, big shout out also to Mike Winters over at Roswell's Talk 106.5. Very cool guy, too, as well. So there you go. Clyde Lewis, hung out with Clyde every night, all day. And everybody else out there got to see Race Hobbs. We saw Robin and the team. It was just a great, fantastic trip all the way around. And it was great until Race cracked a tooth. And I'll let Race at some point this week come on the show and check in with us and see how his dental work is doing. You can check out our sponsors, support the show, support yourself. Life Change Tea. Ronnie McMullen is going to be here in a minute. And just go to getthetea.com, use the promo code Jimmy, and he's got some specials going on tonight, and we'll talk about that too as well. Also, Studio Dome, just go to the banners. Studio Dome, great system, stereo, true wireless stereo, Bluetooth technology, SBB2 speakers, 2 of those, power supplies, hard shell case, $129, promo code JCRTWS. All right, so we just got Roswell out of the way. The next event that we have coming up this summer is the Awareness Life Expo, and it's going to be next month up at the Crowne Plaza Hotel, August 12th, 13th, and 14th. And we're going to broadcast also from there live on Friday night, and that's a VIP special event on Friday night. All the information, just go to our website and click on Awareness Life Expo. All right, let's get the show cracking. Here we go. Happy birthday to Bill Withers, the man. Today, 78. Happy birthday, Bill. Ain't no sunshine, lean on me, just the two of us. What was that one song? I know. What was that song? That was Bill Withers, right? I know, right? See, I could do Bill. I can do Bill. Also today, Geraldo is 73. Insert joke here. All right, on this day in history, 1997, big one. Pathfinder lands on Mars. Fader fact. A group of frogs is called an army. That's a Fader fact. You can use that tomorrow at work if you are going to work tomorrow. All right, tonight, Manu Intiraymi is with us. He's director of the new film, The Circuit. Tomorrow night, Victor Vigiani is going to be here. We're going to talk about his NORAD document disclosure that happened in Canada last week. Wednesday night, Joshua P. Warren is here. We're going to talk about his latest book, Using the Force, The Laws of Attraction, and his latest research. He has got a video over at his website right now of a UFO that was videoed by Homeland Security over Puerto Rico. It's the craziest video. I was talking to him about it today. Crazy video. We're going to talk about his investigations into that. And then Thursday night, No More Fake Newsroom with John Rappaport. This weekend, I'm over at Coast, both Saturday and Sunday. And I believe on Saturday, my guest is going to be Clifford Stone. And on Sunday, it's a Tesla special because that is Nikola Tesla's birthday. And so we're going to have Andrew Bishago on and some other guests, and we'll talk about that a little bit later on in the week. All right? All right, so we just got back from the Roswell Festival, and I just want to say this really quick. Everything that we needed to have done, the city of Roswell, the museum, Jim Hill, Karen, everybody over there made sure Gene Dow from Pecos Valley broadcast made sure that everything was taken care of. And it was just absolutely incredible how you expect something to go wrong and nothing did. And what I mean by that is a missing cable, not enough water, it just pick something. There's something that, and it was just the smoothest thing ever. Not only the broadcast, but the event and the city. We rolled in, and this is what I want to share with you. This is what was really trippy. It was our first time there. And Roswell in ufology and the history of UFOs it's ground zero. So how you know that they have the museum there, so you know that you're going to have that. And you probably got a couple of T-shirt shops and things, that are into it. But what we found out is that the entire city is about the Roswell incident. The entire city. Every gas station, shoe store, restaurant, hotel, every business, everything, everywhere, at every turn is about the Roswell incident. The city embraces it. They really, 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 really do. You drive down the road and you look to the left and you look to the right. And our question was, okay, are you guys doing this for this weekend? Oh, no. That's out. That sign out front is out there every single day. And it is so cool. You don't have to worry about a thing. You just go to Roswell and have fun. And we cannot wait to get back there next year. And so with that, I'm going to bring on Ronnie McMullen. Hey, Ronnie, welcome back to Fade to Black.
How you doing, Jimmy?
I'm glad that you're here on this 4th of July. You should be out with your friends and family, but we had today's show booked. I think when we booked it, we weren't thinking that it was the 4th of July. So I hope I'm not taking you away from your family. Or as soon as you're done with me, are you racing outside and finishing the barbecue?
You read my mind.
Hey, Ronnie, have you been to Roswell?
I have many years in a row.
Many years in a row. Is it the most incredible little city in America?
I like it. I like it a lot. It's definitely it's definitely has its culture.
And what the people, I keep saying this, are so nice. And I asked Rita last night, I said, did we meet one schmo, over the last 4 days? And the answer was no. We just didn't. Everybody there is so cool, so humble, so happy, and they embrace the culture. It is just a great little city, a happy city.
Yes.
I don't know. Maybe we were on the good side of town. I don't know.
Did you get into the thunderstorms?
No, it was perfect the whole night, the whole way there.
Oh, wow.
And when we drove down on Thursday night, driving from Albuquerque in the dark, it started to rain a little bit. But other than that, no, it was just beautiful the whole time. I think, wait a minute. Oh, the night of the broadcast on Friday, it did one of those little sprinkles outside right before the broadcast. It kind of rained for about 5 minutes. Other than that, it was just picturesque, man. It was Norman Rockwell all weekend.
That's awesome.
So, what are you doing right now, Ronnie?
I'm talking with one of my favorite talk show hosts.
It sounds like you're doing two things at once.
No, I can't do that. That tasking thing is just over my head.
Okay. All right. So what's new over at Life Change Tea?
Well, Life Change Tea, we just got a new product in. And I'm very excited about it. I'm very, very. Did I tell you I was very excited about it? I'm very excited about it.
You did last week, so now I'm excited.
It's wonderful because I like to find stuff that deals with trees. The trees are very healing. So I have this new product called Pine Bark Extract, and it is a rocker as far as healing and helping people. And so, I actually probably shouldn't say that first word, but it does so much stuff for us, and it's all natural. It's organic. and non-GMO. So it's wonderful.
And I'm looking, is it on the specials page?
It is on the front page of my website when you scroll down.
Okay,
Yes.
I'm there now.
You
Super
scroll
tea,
down because
right?
my tea is the top of the top.
Oh, got it. Bark and tea is what you're calling this
Bark
special.
and tea. Isn't that cool? That's
Yeah,
a
it's
great-
actually pretty cool.
That's pretty cool. Bark and tea. So people go, yeah, I want that, the bark and tea, But basically the bark and tea, obviously we've talked about the tea, so we know what that does. It's a great thing. But the pine bark extract is wonderful because it boosts kidney function. So people that have kidney problems, it will help the kidney problems. And for those people that are with hypertension, it helps that. And there's people that took pine bark for 6 months, experienced decreases in blood pressure and improvements in kidney function from increased blood flow compared to people taking a placebo. So it does a lot of neat things. It improves diabetic retinopathy, which is the eyes, and it reduces inflammation. It helps with arthritis. It even helps with erectile dysfunction. It stimulates the immune system. And for those of you that have allergies, it's great for allergies. And it also helps with ADHD. So a beautiful thing. I love this product. I take it every day myself. And there's a special on it for all your people, Jimmy, plus the free shipping. They just got to mention your name, Jimmy.
Right.
And they get the bark and tea. And they save a lot of money. So, everybody likes to save.
Well, yes. The kidney part of this is interesting to me. Do you have any other products that focus on the kidneys?
They all do a little bit for the kidneys, but they're not like focused. I wouldn't say focused. This is kind of more of a focus to help the kidneys and people that have kidney damage. So this is, and that's an important issue. I mean, it's a really important issue. So, and actually, I'm just giving you kind of the top little things that this thing does. It really helps with blood pressure. People that have problems with their blood pressure, this is going to help you. So it's really wonderful. Plus the fact that it's 425 milligrams of all organic, non-GMO product. It is the best. There's no fillers. One of the things that's really wonderful about the products that we carry is that there's no fillers. I will not have fillers. And so with that, I get excited because that means you're getting the whole banana.
Well, I just came from the doctor. I had to, go do a little visit. And I told everybody about this last week. It had nothing to do with anything below the waist, okay? It was above the waist. But, but when you get there, you've got to, they check your weight and they do your blood pressure and do all the stuff, right? And they said to me, your blood pressure is a little high. It's normal, but it's a little high. And I always wondered about that. Normally, I'm totally normal with the blood pressure. Maybe this time around I was just excited. I don't know.
Could it be? Yeah.
But is this something that the next time I go in to see the doctor, if I take the pine bark, that it could possibly put me back into that normal range?
And the answer is yes. You possibly might even be in the normal range. We go to the doctor, I'm sorry, a little hyperventilation.
Right.
What are they going to find? They're going to tell me I'm going to die, and I'm being facetious here, but we get a little worked up, and that usually takes our blood pressure up. But for those that do have some elevated blood pressure, yes, this will very much help. Very much help.
And I know you're not a doctor, but is low blood pressure a good thing?
No, you just need to be in the normal range. No, I'm not a doctor, but they obviously have things that help people with low blood pressure. But no, that's not the greatest thing either. But that's where you got to see your doctor, because they're going to do the prescribing. They're going to tell you what's going on, and that's where you got to lean on the doctor.
Yeah, I've always wondered about that because high blood pressure obviously is what everybody is concerned about.
Yeah, most people have. Well, I should say most people have, but usually if it's super low or super high, it's usually the high.
low blood pressure means you're probably dead.
Well, I'm
it means
not
your
sure.
heart's not working.
It could be.
I mean, but it was surprising to me to hear them say, it's a little high, because if it was just normal or within normal, they would have said, hey, you know what? It's within normal. They wouldn't have said anything to me. But it just kind of tripped me out for a second. It's a little high.
Your blood pressure probably raised just hearing it. So, a lot of really good doctors will take your blood pressure, and if it's too high, they'll say, calm down, and we'll take it again. So, and usually if they take it again, it's lower. So, because you've already did it once, so you're not as nervous.
Can I ask you this really quick? What causes high blood pressure?
Usually, and again, I'm not a doctor, but one of the things I've heard is that the clogging of the cardiovascular, basically the blood is getting clotted, not clotted, but your veins are kind of getting constricted, you might say.
Okay.
So really what you need to do is get good blood flow. Bad blood flow is not good. So good blood flow is good. Blood's like the life force. So we got to take care of our blood.
And you also have the blood purifiers too as well.
Yes. Yeah.
Can you
that can be taken 2-3 times a year, and that's really good. I mean, we got so many great products, and in fact, the business is set to target problems that people really face in a natural way. Sometimes you have to go and you have to do the pharmaceuticals and the doctor and everything else, but sometimes you can do it in a natural way. We target some of those things so that, for people that have glucose problems, blood sugar problems, we've got some beautiful products that just came out for Life Change Tea and Get the Tea, which is Gymnema and cinnamon with Celion. If you get the regular cinnamon, it's not going to do the job that Celion cinnamon does. So we have some things that we've been targeting, and believe it or not, pine bark extract also helps that as well. They maintain the blood sugar. So does the colostrum. So it's kind of like when you start taking 3 or 4 things, you really can see, like, for instance, I'll just tell my little story. I had blood pressure and it was kind of high. And the doctor's like, well, we'll just give you a little bit of pharmaceuticals. And I took that for about 2 weeks and got jacked up. And I said, no. And quite honestly, we have a product called Allison C, and it's basically equivalent to 32 cloves of garlic. And garlic will take your blood pressure and drop it down.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a lot of products that target things, but my blood pressure right now, beautifully normal, even if I go to the doctor and get worked up.
Really?
So it's totally normal. So, and before, I mean, it was, the numbers were high. So I'm like, well, like, are you okay? Yeah, I'm fine. What's wrong? So I don't know what it is with this. We always fear the doctor.
We do. And this is what I have been doing every day. And I've kind of morphed into this, but I hit the tea, or I do the 365. I do the olive leaf extract, I do the moringa, and I do the colostrum powder. That is, and for Rita and I, that is, and our one of our daughters is on it too, and a couple of, like, I'm going to name all my family members that are on this program right now. But that's our daily regimen. And I could see the pine bark coming into the picture too. Am I overdoing it, or am I okay?
No, you really don't. It's sometimes timing. You don't want to take everything all at once. And I
do. Well,
can,
no, I do.
But sometimes it's more powerful if you take certain things, like say in the morning, and then kind of set out a little, bowl or whatever, 2 or 3 products that you take,
right,
and set it out in the evening.
Yeah, we do the tea in the morning. And then I do the moringa and the olive. I do that at the exact same time. And one of the reasons why I take those together, and I hope I can, is I like the taste. So after I take the moringa, which I would drink this whole bottle all at once, if I'm serious, man. I mean, it's like that. So instead of taking 3 drops all day long, I'll do 3 shots at once. Because I like the taste, and I love the taste of the olive leaf. Yeah. So because I can't continue doing the moringa, I do the olive leaf, and it tastes good, but it's also good for blood pressure and a lot of other things too as well.
Exactly. So, and if you see where I'm headed here, we have moringa. It's a tree. Okay?
Right.
We have pine bark.
Right.
It's a tree.
Right.
We have olive leaf, and it's a tree.
Right.
So where are we going with this? And cinnamon is a tree.
So you're saying I'm going to turn into a tree?
I'm saying I'm going to have you live as long as the trees. There's a tree actually in Upper California. It's 5,000 years old.
That's right.
5,000.
That's right. That's right.
So you go, hey, 5,000 years old? I mean, there's some good DNA props. So I'm thinking I can keep you alive for a while.
Well, I'll deal with green hair if I can, tack on an extra 20 years. But is there a problem with me, and the listeners, if they take the drops together, like the moringa and the olive, you can actually do that together?
Oh, yeah, totally good.
And
what's good about the drops is it enters your blood system immediately.
Yeah.
Like right now.
Yeah, you can feel it. I'm telling you, one of these days, I'm just going to go balls out, and I'm going to drink a whole bottle of moringa at once.
Well, that'll be the day that you have the green hair.
Yeah, right. Man, I just love the products. And the other thing, I need some of your advice because the listeners are all on the program too with me. So
I noticed that. It's so wonderful. They're like, hey, it's Jimmy, and you have, by the way, you have really good listeners. They're very kind, very good people, and so that's kind of cool.
Somebody posted the other day, they posted a picture of Life Change Tea, right? The envelopes.
Yeah.
A Studio Dome monitor, a cup of coffee, and something off to the left. It might have been a shot of vodka. I don't know, but everything was like right there. And they were like, you know what? I just want to say thanks to Jimmy Church, and I'm thinking, we have the best family ever because they don't have to do that.
Yeah.
And it's really cool. Okay, really quick before I have to let you go, we got like 30 seconds. One of the things that I do with the colostrum, and it's a bad habit, and Rita's been trying to break me of it, I like to make it thick because I like the taste. Am I wasting it? Should I?
No. Well, it depends how many teaspoons you're putting in. If you're putting in like
2
or 4.
2 tablespoons, two full tablespoons.
Tablespoon. Yeah,
and
you're
8
good.
ounces.
You're good. It'll heal your stomach.
Okay, so I'm not. See, Rita, I'm not overdoing it. She said I was overdoing it. All right.
Well, it's a good taste, just like drinking milk.
I like the taste, man. It's like a vanilla shake.
Well, and it's a protector. It's like putting armor in your stomach,
Yes.
because all the food gets to you, so it's good. It's all good.
I need that because we do all those Armenian kebabs with all those crazy spices.
There you go. And don't forget to tell listeners if you want to go and see how some of this works, and I have my YouTube channel, Health Matters Now. And I talk about some of these products and talk about health issues and just little blurbs, and it's kind of cool.
Thank you so much, Ronnie. GetTheTea.com. The special is right there. Tea and bark. Ronnie McMullen, one of the best in the world. Thank you so much, Ronnie. Have a great, safe rest of your 4th of July. Go hang out with your family.
That's right. Thanks, Jimmy.
Thank you so much. Ronnie McMullen, GetTheTea.com. This is Fade to Black on the Game Changer Network and KGRA The Planet. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Taking a quick break. When I come back, Manu Intiraymi is going to be with us. Stay right there.
You're listening to Jimmy Church, Fade to Black.
Fade to Black will now pause for alien identification.
The station that talks the net. KGRA Radio.
What's up, revolutionaries? It's me, Jimmy Church. Do you have an IRS or state tax issue? Well, I did, and I called national tax experts. My problems were fixed, done, fini, and man, I got to tell you, it was a relief. National Tax Experts are a recognized tax office that services clients in all 50 states. Doesn't matter where you live. Give them a call. I'm telling you, they take the time to understand each and every client's individual financial status as well as their financial goals. And that's exactly what you need, my brother, when you're taking on the evil 3-letter. So, seriously, give them a call today at 1-877-909-5444. Again, 1-877-909-5444. Or go check out their website, www.nattaxexperts.com. That's NATTAXEXPERTS.com. Tell them Jimmy sent you.
Hi, folks. Ronnie here reminding you that June is Health Awareness Month, sponsored by GetTheTea.com. Many of you have heard our tea commercial, maybe visited the website, but haven't committed because, well, you just don't know. Skeptical. We understand. Just to remind you, our tea is not just tea. In fact, very little tea. Life Change Tea is a unique blend of 8 different herbs, removing intruders that attack your health. You brew our tea to make the concentrate, you add water, and put in the fridge. 2 8-ounce glasses a day, and life will be good. Visit us at GetTheTea.com. That's GetTheTea.com. And this month is lots of fun stuff with Health Awareness Month. You could be picked and receive your order absolutely free. You never know. Read the testimonies and try our products. Log on to GetTheTea.com. That's GetTheTea.com. And for great health tips, visit my YouTube channel at Health Matters Now, where you can learn about health tips and how products work on your body. Join me, GetTheTea.com.
9 out of 10 geneticists agree.
Fade to Black is not your father's radio show on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, The Planet.
Hi, this is Chase Kletzky with Fate Magazine Radio, and you're listening to Jimmy Church and Fade to Black on the Game Changer Network and the KGRA digital broadcast station, where the Fade or Nots rock.
Hi, this is Rob Reiner from Anvil, and you're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com.
What's up? I'm Chris. What up? This is Kyle Massey, and you're listening to Jimmy Church Radio.
All right, welcome back. Fade to Black. Happy 4th of July, everybody. Thank you for spending your evening with us tonight. And after that, just go out and hang out with friends, family, fireworks, a little barbecue. Be safe. Go Beckley Tepe. Tonight, it's Manu Intiraymi. He's the director of the new film and his latest project, The Circuit. Tomorrow night, Victor Vigiani is going to be here to discuss his NORAD document disclosures. Wednesday night, Joshua P. Warren is here to talk about the laws of attraction and his latest research. Thursday night is a Fader Night, open lines with John Rappaport and his No More Fake newsroom. But tonight, it's about Manu. He's a television and theater actor, best known for the series Star Trek Voyager. And his latest project that we're going to talk about tonight is a film called The Circuit. We're going to be discussing the ideas behind the project, and this is different, and it's interesting, and it's going to be a great conversation. And we're also going to jump into all things strange in the world around us. And I would like to welcome to Fade to Black for the first time, Manu Intiraymi. Good evening, Manu.
What's up, Jimmy?
It's great to have you here. And this is the thing, Manu, and I love doing this. When we have a first-time guest, you get the first-time guest disclosure. You ready?
All right, here we go.
The disclaimer is, it's just you and I sitting on my couch having a conversation between friends. It's going to go where it's going to go. It's going to end where it's going to end, but we'll end as friends.
Do we start in the nude?
Yeah, right, exactly. You ready?
I've got my shirt off already, man.
So do I.
Right on. It's hot in Hollywood.
It's hot. We're in a bunker, right, in Burbank. And it's hot, man. And we turned down the AC to 66. And I said, that's it. So I'm in shorts, surfer slaps, and no shirt. And so there you go. Picture that, audience. Okay. Now that we got that out of the way, So
I don't know if it's out of the way. Like it's dripping down my shirt.
Yeah,
right? I mean, like I got a pool going right down between my that special place between your boobs, your man boobs.
And we just got back from Roswell, and it was really, really warm out there. And so we got back last night, and it was 70 degrees, in Hollywood. And we were like, oh, it's okay. And then today the furnace turned on. It is hot here, man. Hot.
Tell me about Roswell, though. It must be like 120 out there. No?
Well, you know what was different about Roswell, because we had heard the rumors, about it being the gates of hell, right?
Uh-huh.
And it was only like that. Roswell, while we were there at least, it had a decent amount of clouds that would break up the sun every few minutes. You know what I mean? When the sun broke through the clouds and it hit you, it was like, hello, right? I'm here. But it was just enough to make everything actually pretty cool. It wasn't as bad.
Like a cooler of ice cold Cokes just cruising through.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. And a little kiss of the breeze to just kind of, you know what I mean? And it was cool, man. It was not, see, the thing is with my wife, Rita, I didn't tell her the bad part about the bad news, that it was going to be $125. And so I just wanted to kind of let that go. And it just turned out I didn't have to, it never became an issue. It was actually very cool. Now, I'll say this, because you are into ufology and the paranormal and everything else and science fiction and that's your life, and Roswell, man, that is a bucket list thing for you.
I'm jealous, man. I'm jealous that you got to go out there and hang with all those characters. What is it? Is it a festival of the paranormal? I mean, of the UFO gathering for the weekend?
That's exactly what it is, and it's not like. Well, it's not like a conference or like a Comic-Con or things where you go to. It's not like that.
Okay.
This is truly a festival. So they're celebrating E.T. It's a celebration, man.
Was it the crash date?
The crash date is July 3rd. Yeah.
Okay. Are any of the old timers out there that were there?
No, I think most of them have passed on. There's only a handful that are left, grandchildren and things. But all of the main players, you got to remember that was 1947. So if somebody was 50 or 40 years old in 1947, that would make them $120 today.
Yeah, bummer. So hand-me-downs it's down to.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. We're third generation in. And, there's a couple of books out there. You do a lot of reading. And one of the latest books by Don Schmidt and Tom Carey is called Children of Roswell. So, you know what I mean? They are documenting and recording everything that they can before everybody is gone, and it's a good read. You should check
everything
it out.
That basically their fathers and mothers and grandfathers and grandparents told them.
Right, exactly. And then after that, once this is done, it's done. So it's like a mad scramble to finally see. This is the thing, and you do a lot of research into ufology, and you and I were talking about that earlier today.
Yeah.
The thing is about Roswell is that it actually happened. Okay, now what happened, though, that's up to debate. You've got the military side of things, you've got the civilian side of things, and the military changing their story and so forth.
It's up to debate, but not that much, man. I can't stand people, actually, that think it's up to debate. You can't have, as much as I know about Roswell, and I'm not an expert, but the military does not go on open live and say we just found a flying saucer and make a mistake like that. That's the most ridiculous thing that I mean, we're not that dumb. The head sergeant at the base, or the head commander.
Yes.
Okayed it to go out live on the radio that they discovered a flying saucer, and then they take it back with this weather balloon nonsense. We found something out there that was pretty damn cool. And I read Colonel Corso's book about Roswell.
Yeah.
And all the re-engineering and whatever they call it when they go back. And he says that microwaves and a lot of the technology that we have today is from that site. And I tend to believe guys in the military. I don't see what they have to lie for after. I don't see, those are the most trustworthy people to me on UFOs is military guys and police officers. They'll ruin their careers by coming out and telling the truth, and yet they do so anyway. So
yeah, and you bring up a really good point, because you have the military and you have the government, and they tell you something, and it's supposed to be the truth, and you're expected to believe them. So when they say, we've retrieved a flying saucer and we're flying it to Wright-Patterson, right?
Yeah.
Then they want to come back and say, well, no, it wasn't that. Well, wait a minute. What is it that you want us to believe now? Is it that narrative or is it this one? And so you're saying you lied before and now you expect us to believe this news story? That's
never
the
mind.
issue.
We found some tinfoil. I mean, you've seen the pictures of that.
Yes, exactly. I'm so with you. I have talked to all of the main researchers that have done all the Stanton Friedman and Don Schmidt and Tom Carey and Linda Moulton Howe, everybody that's been dealing with Roswell from the beginning, and they all are in agreement with one thing. They did a press release, and when they did that press release in 1947, at the height of the atomic program, 1947, the secrecy of all of that, Roswell being the center of the universe with nuclear weapons, right? And that's a fact. This is not conjecture.
Yeah, that's where we were doing all our tests.
That's where everything was happening. Yep. They know what to say and not to say. And they chose to write that press release. They did it because they poured over every word and syllable on that press release. It wasn't an accident, so that's it. Something happened out there. And so back to the point, the city celebrates this, man. Every restaurant, every store, clothing, shoe, gas station, every restaurant, hotel, there isn't one business in Roswell that doesn't take part in this, and it's citywide. It's on every street. It's incredible to walk around and see that. You don't have to worry about pretending out there or trying to. No, you can just let it all hang out, man. It's really cool.
I really should do it. The reason that I've never been out there is I'm really into UFOs. I'm into things that go bump in the night. The reason I've never gone is because of all the UFO TV shows and stuff that I've watched. It's usually a couple guys in a camper out in the desert, and they never see anything. And I'm just like, why would I want to go all the way out into the desert to see a bunch of desert? Because it's not going to crash again,
Well,
I bet you there's some sort of like history beneath your feet that you can feel there, and I should do it.
Yeah. We were driving out there Thursday night. We left L.A. and we flew into Albuquerque, rented a car, and drove out there. And dude, it was like the craziest David Lynch film ever, right? We're driving across the desert at 10 o'clock at night, and I'm not kidding. To the left, to the right, and straight ahead was not one light, not a reflector, not a highway, not a street light. It was absolute. It was like, you remember Wild at Heart, right?
Yeah.
Those scenes at night driving. It was like that, man. It was crazy. So
you forget how beautiful the desert is at night. Yeah.
Oh man, it was.
I was driving once back from Vegas, cruising through the desert, and on my way back from Pahrump. I don't know what I was doing there, but I was on my way back from Pahrump, and I was like 23. And there was lightning in the sky, purple lightning, and it was pitch dark. And then all of a sudden, the lightning would light up the sky, and that's probably what knocked down whatever they found. There was lightning storms that night, I think.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And you know what? Let's visit this subject a little bit. I want to go back to your name. I want to. Having law and gods, right? Part of your name is unique. That tells me that your parents were either very, very cool or completely out of their minds. And either one of those is a good thing for a child.
Yeah, well, it's both.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
So tell me about that. What were your parents like, and where did they come up with your name?
My parents were 60s generation rebel flower children, hippie, kick-ass people. And my father and my mother were actually at the Incan Festival of the Sun in Peru called the Intiraymi when I was conceived. And so they just decided to give me Intiraymi as a last name. It's a Peruvian name. And they didn't want to go with the American norm of naming your child after your ancestor. You don't legally have to do that. So they named me after the festival, and then my dad took some hallucinogenics of some sort and was reading through the old Bhagavad Gita or the Book of Manu or some of the texts, the religious texts of the area, and came up with Manu. And Manu's the god of law, and Intiraymi is the Incan god of the sun. So it's basically like God.
Yes.
And then he so had it, he had it right. And the Buddha was born in the fetal sac. Now, so a lot of these Jesus creatures or these Jesus types were born, and the story is that they're born in their fetal sac. When I was born, I was in it, but my dad was such a dumb hippie that he didn't, like when they were birthing me, he reached in there and he didn't know what it was, and it creeped him out. So he poked it and he popped it, and he ruined the whole Jesus incarnation for me.
Oh, man.
So I'm stuck with God. God is a name. Then I have to live up to that. And that's, been my life.
So, but at least it could have been God, Son of God, but your dad kind of blew it.
Yeah.
That's interesting. You haven't held it against him, have you?
No. They were going to allow me to pick my own middle name when I was a kid, and I almost went with Miami because I liked the Miami Dolphins. So I would have been Manu Miami Intiraymi.
Oh, that would have been really cool.
Yeah.
So then you went around the country with your parents. And you got to see things. Were they working, or was it like on the road? Like
they were
like
hippies, man? Were they working? Are you kidding me? No, they weren't working.
So you grew up. I mean, it was like Jack Kerouac. It was.
Yeah, absolutely, man. We were at Dead shows, Rainbow Family, Rainbow festivals. Have you ever heard of the Rainbow Gathering?
Absolutely. You went to the Rainbow. How old were you there? Did you do body paint?
Yeah, man. I mean, I was at the Rainbow Gathering probably every year until I turned maybe 16, 17 years old, and then I would miss it every couple of years. The National Rainbow Gathering. That's where I grew up. So I grew up in communes, campgrounds, dead shows, on the road, on the run from the DEA and the FBI because Dad grew a lot of weed and was always in trouble with the law. And because of that, in the 80s, it was Reagan and the don't do drugs years. And there was a heavy crackdown on the happy tobacco. And so that was my life, man, just running all over the States and traveling all over the States and Europe.
Were your parents also into consciousness and the paranormal and that entire thing too?
I was reading Shirley MacLaine and Autobiography of a Yogi and all those, and like
Carlos Castaneda too.
Yeah, all that stuff.
Right.
I was force-fed that stuff when I was like 9, 10 years old. So absolutely, they were into all of it. My mom has kind of become more of like, these days, she's like ditched it all and become kind of a cynic. Dad still believes in the magic string that floats throughout the universe, and he's still out there and will knock on my door every now and then with a tie-dyed T-shirt on and want to crash on my couch.
Oh, right on. And so did you experience as a kid anything in the paranormal?
Yeah, I quite a bit actually, because the first thing that I remember is I must have been like 4 or 5 years old, and we were staying at somebody's house that was letting us stay there, and I was watching the Muppet Show, and this kid, maybe 13 years old, came up and tapped me on the shoulder and asked me if I wanted to go upstairs and play Buck and Bronco. And Buck and Bronco at the time was like a game where you'd get on all fours and you'd get on the other dude's back and he'd try to buck you off. And that was basically the name of the game. So I remember walking up these stairs with these kids, this long flight of white stairs up into this room that was painted green, 4x4, just a square room. And in the far corner was a dirty mattress. It was just like an ugly mattress on the floor. And on the right side of me was a window on the far left corner from where I walked in the room. And on the right side of me was a black trench coat hanging on the wall. And to this day, this memory still messes with me. And I've gone to therapists to try to recall it and see if it's real or what is it. Basically, the kid says, okay, he gets down on all fours on the mattress. He tells me to get on. And he bucks me off really hard. And I hit the hardwood floor in the room. And I look at him like, he's 13, I'm 5. He was a teenager.
Right.
And so I remember looking at him like, wow, you didn't have to do that. Why'd you buck me off so hard? You thought we were playing, kind of look. And he gave me this smile that was so eerie. And he just smiled at me. And I looked up and I remember looking up at the trench coat sitting on the wall. And that trench coat started to hover off the wall towards me, to the stairway that I was standing by. And so I looked back at the kid like, oh my God, what's going on? Like, we should run, right? What's this? He just kept smiling at me. And then some dark voice or I don't remember if I actually heard it or if it was like telepathic or just in my head, but something really dark went, "Get out of here."
For real.
For real. And
Wow.
I ran down the stairs, ran down the hallway, and I remember my mother. Now, I'm only 4 or 5 years old at the time, so this is an old memory. I'm 38 now,
Right.
But I hugged my mother and just started crying, and I never told her about it. And I kind of blocked it out. I think it freaked me out so bad that I blocked it out.
I'm freaking out now. Okay.
Right.
So, 5 years old.
Yeah. So I about 50. I block it out. I don't remember a thing about it until I'm 15 and I'm in high school and I'm laying in bed one night and this memory comes back to me real clear. And I go and I ask my mom about it. And I go, "Mom, do you ever remember we were staying at a house somewhere, I don't know, Michigan, somewhere in the South?" I remember it was one of those old style houses, those like
Farmhouse.
Yeah, like a farmhouse, but like kind of ritzy, like Victorian style with the columns.
Oh, I got you.
Yeah, like an old sort of like a
plantation
type of home. Yeah,
right.
And the hippie couple that was staying there, was letting us stay there for the 2 weeks that they were moving out because both the mother and the father had seen a ghost of a teenager walking around their downstairs area. And 3 teenagers 2 years before had killed themselves in a mass suicide in the upstairs bedroom where I saw that stuff.
What?
And my mother told me all about that. And we, hashed it out for a couple of hours. And I'm 38 years old. I would like to say that I have a head on my shoulders, that I clearly remember the past, etc. But that was, supernaturally, that's the only ghost type of thing that's ever happened to me. But it haunts me to this day. I can't hang clothes on my wall. Like if I have a hook on my wall, if I hang up a pair of shorts or a shirt and I turn out the lights and I try to go to bed, I have to take it down because I'm always wondering if it's going to float off the wall at me,
Now, the other question that I have, was the 13-year-old boy real?
No, he wasn't.
So that's an incredible experience. So the couple that was living there didn't have kids.
No, they didn't have any children, and they had seen, that they had been scared because both of them had seen like an ethereal teenage boy, like in gothic type of clothes, out of the corner of their eye a couple of times while they were, living there, and they were moving out, and they were just letting us stay there until they moved.
Wow.
And so I was 4 or 5. So I think, because of my age, because my brain was probably open to more things than maybe an adult's, I saw something that was very possibly from the other side. I mean, the only other thing I can think of is some teenagers that didn't live there somehow played a practical joke on me. I don't know, but it was, it's a terrifying memory. And I've told this story so many times throughout my life that I've gotten kind of used to it. But for the longest time, when I tell it, I would get goosebumps and the fear would come back to me. But these days I tell it and I don't get the oogie googlies anymore.
I wonder if there's a way to find the house. I mean, do your parents remember exactly where it was?
I wonder if they could track down the people that lived there and, oh God, man, and go back there, because I remember exactly what it looked like. I remember what that staircase looked like. I remember what the room looked like. I remember what the front of the house looked like.
I mean, we could put the team together, man. I know people, you know what I mean? And we could go out there and run some video and make that happen.
Wow, I'm down. Let me talk to my mom.
Yeah, I'm serious, man. I'm watching Twitter right now, and yeah, I think we have something in our future. Now, the thing is with that, I'm not so sure that therapy would have anything to do with it. You know what I mean? Maybe a little bit of regression.
Well, that's
therapy.
what I tried to do. I tried to do the regression, the regression stuff, not past life. But
yeah.
I had a couple of hippie guys that my dad knew that said they knew how to do that, have tried to put me under a couple times. And it just confused me even more because the memories just changed. Certain things altered. One time I went under and the kid wasn't smiling. He was actually looking scared.
That's interesting too.
Yeah, so it kind of bummed me out doing the regression stuff because I had the same memories, but just little details changed. And so then I'm like, well, what's what,
Yeah, let me ask you this. We're going to head towards a break here in about 60 seconds, 90 seconds. But before we get there, do you find, because that's a traumatic thing, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, that's about as traumatic as it gets. And especially at that age.
Loving out of me. Yeah.
And do you find that has helped you with your creativity, and that a lot of actors, not all of them, do have some pretty dramatic things that happen to them when they're young? And do you think that does something to you that enables you to act?
Absolutely. I think, we were talking earlier before the show about the spirituality and Satanism behind Hollywood doors and stuff. But there is definitely a certain respect to when you're acting, channeling, the spirit of the character through your body, whether it was a real person or not. And I can definitely go to dark places that other people can't go to. And maybe that experience is what's allowed me to go to that terrifying place that people that haven't seen things like that
it makes you wonder what happened to Pesci when he was a kid, right?
Yeah.
All right, let's.
Those kids committed suicide.
Yes, right, exactly.
Kids, up in the bedroom committing suicide. That's so creepy. And then they're talking to me when I'm 5. Of course, that must have given me something.
Yeah. Oops, I hit the wrong commercial break. Okay, we're gonna do this right now. This is Fade to Black. Our guest tonight, Manu Intiraymi. Hi, this is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. More with Manu right after this short break. Stay right there.
You're listening to Jimmy Church, Fade to Black.
Fade to Black will now pause for alien identification.
The station that talks the net. KGRA Radio. What's up, revolutionaries? It's me, Jimmy Church. Do you have an IRS or state tax issue? Well, I did, and I called national tax experts.
My problems were fixed, done, fini, and man, I got to tell you, it was a relief. National Tax Experts are a recognized tax office that services clients in all 50 states. It doesn't matter where you live. Give them a call. I'm telling you, they take the time to understand each and every client's individual financial status as well as their financial goals. And that's exactly what you need, my brother, when you're taking on the evil 3-letter. So, seriously, give them a call today at 1-877-909-5444. Again, 1-877-909-5444. Or go check out their website, www.nattaxexperts.com. That's NATTAXEXPERTS.com. Tell them Jimmy sent you.
Hi, folks. Ronnie here reminding you that June is Health Awareness Month, sponsored by GetTheTea.com. Many of you have heard our tea commercial, maybe visited the website, but haven't committed because, well, you just don't know. Skeptical. We understand. Just to remind you, our tea is not just tea. In fact, very little tea. Life Change Tea is a unique blend of 8 different herbs, removing intruders that attack your health. You brew our tea to make the concentrate, you add water, and put in the fridge. 2 8-ounce glasses a day, and life will be good. Visit us at GetTheTea.com. That's GetTheTea.com. And this month is lots of fun stuff with Health Awareness Month. You could be picked and receive your order absolutely free. You never know. Read the testimonies and try our products. Log on to GetTheTea.com. That's GetTheTea.com. And for great health tips, visit my YouTube channel at Health Matters Now, where you can learn about health tips and how products work on your body. Join me, GetTheTea.com.
9 out of 10 geneticists agree.
Fade to Black is not your father's radio show on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the planet.
Hi, this is Chase Kletsky with Fate Magazine Radio, and you're listening to Jimmy Church and Fade to Black on the Game Changer Network and the KGRA digital broadcast station, where the Fader-Knots rock.
Hi, this is Rob Reiner from Anvil, and you're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com.
What's up? I'm Chris. What up? This is Kyle Massey, and you're listening to Jimmy Church Radio.
All right, welcome back, Fade to Black. Happy 4th of July, everybody. It's cool that you're hanging out with us tonight, but as soon as we're done, just go out there, friends, family, fireworks, barbecue, go get her done. Our guest tonight, Manu Intiraymi. And
about my childhood ghost story, you have to let me go on, because a lot of weird things happened to me when I was a kid.
Okay. Actually, I had you muted for the first half of that. That's my bad.
That's all right.
But I would like to stay right there, if that's okay, because I with all of this, the Hollywood in general is a strange city full of strange characters.
Oh yeah,
and it's all over. I mean, it's there, and I have so many friends that are directors and actors and comedians. And as I get to know them and we start talking, it's one thing to stay on the surface, right? But as soon as you just like want to go into another they're all there. They get it. They get the conspiracy. They get the paranormal. They understand all, and that's what they want to talk. They don't want to talk about when they were on Family Ties. You know, they want to talk about the strangeness of the world, and I totally get that here in Hollywood from all directions.
I'm totally down to promote the movie, man, but I came on the show to talk about things that go bump in the night. I mean, I need some therapy, man.
And this, like I said, we're on my couch, and this is the thing. Rita and I have had a couple of sightings in the skies that were random events, right? Just, you see something up in the sky and it, but just recently we had some stuff that was kind of deliberate, and we saw some very, very strange things that right now I can't explain. And when you look to the skies, are you expecting something, or are these random events for you as well?
No, they're completely random. I can think of one other time I saw a UFO. I was like 13 years old in Pullman, Washington. And I used to have a fire escape. I used to live like up on the 5th floor of this building, and I had a fire escape out my window. And me and my buddy Cameron were sitting on the fire escape looking across the town at the mountain range across town. And a thing about the size of the moon with multicolored lights on it, like every colored light you could imagine. It looked like the moon except a Christmas tree bulb with like every color light that you could imagine on it, was just kind of bobbing up and down over the mountain range. And I ran and grabbed my mom, and we looked at it for a good 15, 20 minutes. And then when we ran to grab a camera. We ran down to the store to grab a little disposable camera to try to get a picture of it. And by the time we came back, it was gone. But the weirdest thing as far as aliens and UFOs was also back when I was a young child, like I was around 6, 7 years old. We lived way out in the boonies in McCall, Idaho, way out there in a suburb, way out there in the forest, outside of McCall. And this was before Communion had come out, the Whitley Strieber book. This is before we had even seen that image we all know of now with the aliens with the big black eyes and the slit in the mouth and the the grays that people refer to now. So this must have been like 1984 or something like that, 82. I don't know whenever that book came out.
That book came out in 85.
Okay, so it was a couple of years before, and I would have repetitive nightmares. Well, my dad would call them nightmares, but I would be sleeping in my room. We had a big house, two-story house with a spa, and it was a nice place out in the woods. I would be in my bed, and I would know that there were these little blue men with little like overall type of outfits that would go around my house in a specific pattern. And I don't know how I knew this, but I knew that they would climb up my window, come in my window, come across my bed, go around my room. They would leave my room, and then I would know in my head where they were in the house, and they would keep walking around my house in a specific pattern to where like every 43 minutes I know that they would be coming up through the window again. And when they did, I would put my covers over my head, and this is another one of those memories where I could feel them crawl across my body. And I would wait till they got out of my room to take the covers off of my head. And then I would scream for my parents to let me sleep with them. I was scared. I was terrified. There were boogeymen coming in my window, etc. And my parents just wrote it off.
Well, okay, let's pump the brakes right there.
Yeah.
Okay. How did you know they were blue?
I could just see them in my mind.
Okay. And the overalls?
I also could just see them in my mind. I don't have any real memories of like being brave enough to pull the covers down and catch them going out of my room. It may have happened, but I just remember what they looked like. They were small and blue, and they had coveralls, and I don't know how I knew that. I just, in my mind, I knew that.
And then when you read Communion and you read Whitley's description of what's going on, what happened to you then? Because that just must have obviously scared the crap out of you. Because
So to double whammy it, my parents used to just let me cry myself to sleep, etc. My mother then was laying in bed one night, and she rolled over to her right about 3 a.m, and she saw what she describes as an ethereal being with big black eyes. She said it had it was very cat-like, she said. And it had ears that looked kind of like an owl's, like they were feathered a little bit.
Wow.
And she said it was just kind of rocking back and forth to the left and to the right, looking at her. And she was half awake, and she says she wasn't scared. She was just kind of weirded out by it. And we had a big cat at the time named Magic. And so my mom said, "Magic, you look weird." And then she rolled over, and between my mother and my father, magic was laying there.
Right.
So then she was like, what was that behind me? She flipped over and looked. It was gone. A blue light flashed around her room. She heard something like a whoosh outside. Suddenly there was total darkness, and she woke my father up to tell him about it. They both fell asleep. They kind of just wrote it off as nothing. Like it didn't freak them out until the morning when she started to think about it. And then a year later.
Well, that's like straight out of Whitley's
straight
book.
out of Communion.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Wow.
So a year later, my mom's walking through the library, and one other person in the house had seen this creature too. Maybe a couple months later, my cousin saw it. My mom's walking through the public county library in McCall, Idaho, and she sees the book, and she almost passes out because she sees the cover.
Right.
And the cover of the book is basically, close to what she saw in her bed that night. She said the only difference was the ears. She said the ears were more owl-like, more cat-like, feathery. But that it was a spitting image of what she saw. And so she got into the book, and then she got me into the book, and between 7 to, now I've been into aliens and whatnot. I never saw that creature, but my mom and my cousin saw it.
Have you talked to Whitley about this?
No, I'd love to, though.
Okay, I'll hook you up. I think Whitley needs to hear this story, and I'll hook you and Whitley up.
And so we were ready. When the film came out, we were ready, and it was very much like the house that Whitley was living in the movie. It's out in the boonies. Mm-hmm. Very much the same thing.
Yeah, it's right out of Whitley's book.
Yeah, and it makes sense to me that if they say if aliens were taking a look at us, I don't think the first place that they would land is right in the middle of the city to say hi. They'd go out to the boonies, and they'd take a look at us from a safe distance first.
There's one other thing that Whitley talks about, and he's done it on the show too, is that the little blue guys, he thinks that they aren't necessarily E.T., could be, but more of like the undead. In between dimensions kind of thing. And that's puts a weird spin on it too as well. And if you think about that walking through the house, your house.
Yeah.
Think about that for a second. It's a pretty interesting, because his description and yours are identical.
And have you seen the movie Nightmare recently that came out, the documentary?
No, heard about it though.
Okay, so I've also suffered from that my whole life, and nightmare, sleep paralysis. I'm not like a bad sufferer like that it happens to on a regular basis.
Right.
But a few times a year, I'll wake up and I'll be completely frozen in my bed. I won't be able to move my body and I'll know something is in the room, something with a dark presence, a malevolent presence is in the room, and it's watching me, and it's the reason that I can't move, and it's laughing at me, and it's terrifying, and I'm just locked in this physical state of terror that I can't move and I can't look at it, and I'm trying to bend my head to turn and look at it. And that movie also, like back when I was a kid, really tripped me out, because I found out that there's millions of people around the world that deal with this exact phenomenon, and the doctors just call it sleep paralysis or sleep apnea. But
I'm just going to let you know right now, it happened to me.
Yeah.
And the audience is listening to you tell this story, and it's nearly word for word from my experience. And mine, just so you know, Manu, mine happened, Southern California. This happened in Sherman Oaks, man.
Okay.
Now, Sherman Oaks, upscale, nice community, right?
But yeah, I had it happen in Sherman Oaks too. I used to live out there.
Oh, yours happened in Sherman Oaks?
Yeah, well, mine happens to me wherever I go.
Okay.
While I was living in Sherman Oaks, I had a couple of experiences.
Well, I lived on Dickens and Seed Road.
Oh my God! Dickens too.
Okay. Now check this out. Dickens and Cedros, right? And since you know Dickens, and by the way, everybody that's listening right now, that's also where Coast to Coast broadcasts from. So when I do Coast to Coast is on Dickens and Sepulveda. So, by Sherman Oaks Galleria. So anyway, Dickens and Cedros in a condo, and this is 1995, and the same thing happened. I woke up at about 2 o'clock in the morning, frozen, couldn't move, and I got this dude standing by the sliding glass doors in my bedroom. He's about 4 foot tall, and we have this standoff, man, for about 15 minutes, and he wasn't laughing, but he was blinking. That was the trippy thing, and I couldn't move my head, but I could move my eyes, right?
And he was just sitting there looking at you.
Yeah. Right off the right-hand side of my bed. And so, look, everything that you just described is exactly what happened to me.
Could you see his face?
Yeah, I could see his face. I could see his shoulders.
Did he just look like a guy?
It looked like, I've tried to let everybody know that I don't have any fine details. You know what I mean? Yeah. I could see because the lights were off, but it was the blinds were open over the sliding glass door. So you had the moonlight coming in. So you could see everything in the room, but it wasn't lit up. So what I saw was a head, eyes, shoulders, and then a little bit of the upper torso. But below that was my bed, so I couldn't see below that. And I couldn't tilt my head up. I could only look down with my eyes.
And then when you go and wake up, he's gone, of course.
Well, actually, what happened when I could finally move, I was looking for an ass kicking. I was pretty pissed off. And so I when I finally could move, I rolled over to my left and I turned on the lamp on my nightstand on my left. And when I roll back over and I'm ready to go Bruce Lee, he's gone.
Yeah.
And so I jumped out of bed, and I thought he was somewhere in the house because I ran over and the sliding glass door was closed. So I run through the house and I'm turning on all the lights, and I can't find anybody in my house. I lived alone. And I came back in and stayed awake all night. And then after that,
that's the thing. When it does happen to you, it is so terrifying that when you wake up, it's worse than a nightmare. You can't really get back to sleep. It's traumatizing.
And I slept. To get over. I slept with the lights and the TV on for the next 10 years.
Are you serious? I'm
not playing. I am not playing around, man. It messed with me so bad. But it never happened again. See, that the thing is, when people talk about this sleep paralysis and it's all in your mind, and so, well, then you know what? It would have happened again and again and again, and it never did. It only happened that one time.
Well, some people have it sporadically. Some people have it happen to them once. Some people have it happen to them every single night. God bless them. I hope those people. I hope I'm never one of those people.
Right.
But, mine happens 2 or 3 times a year. It doesn't really matter where I'm at. It just, a few times a year it happens. And it's very weird. And I never thought much of it more than that it's just that weird sleep dream state. I always thought maybe it was like some kind of mechanism that was just built into us from our fear from fight or flight back when we used to hang out in trees and something to keep us awake and keep us from not moving and falling out of trees, or I don't know.
Well, I went through all of this. I actually had all of these thoughts go through my mind. Could there have been a flying saucer, right, some kind of craft over my house in the middle of Sherman Oaks? And did anybody else see that? Like this thing beamed down into my room, landed on my patio, went through my sliding glass door. Was it that? Was it a ghost that just appeared? Was it any of these things? But I was thinking, why would this happen in downtown Sherman Oaks, of all places? This wasn't a cabin out in the woods, right? This is in downtown Sherman Oaks. But what nobody will ever change my mind on is if it was real or not, because I was awake for a good 15 minutes.
Oh yeah, you can be locked. You can be locked. People are locked for like hours sometimes. Just can't move.
Yep.
Total terror. You should check out the film. The film's great. It's called Nightmare, and it's by somebody that filmmaker that lives and works in L.A. And that struggled with it his whole life, and he goes around the world interviewing people that are struggling with it and trying to define what it is. And I like the idea of interdimensionals. You know, you talk about those guys between the blue guys and Whitley's, the interdimensional beings. If I was an interdimensional being and I could spy on people in a different dimension, I'd do that kind of thing, and I'd mess with them, and it'd be fun. So, you know.
Well, if you think about
dimensionals having a good time messing around with you a little bit.
Well, that's a really good point. If you remember the Robin Williams movie, Dreams May Come, right?
Yeah.
And if you think about how that was captured, in that you remember his wife couldn't see him or hear him. You remember?
Yeah.
And when you have an interdimensional situation where they could see us and they're probably yelling at us, but we can't hear them, we can't see, you know what I mean? That kind of netherworld situation. And then once in a while, they slip through, right? They, just slip through, just like in when Robin Williams, a couple of times his wife thought she heard him. Or, you know what I mean? And it's kind of like that, where they want to reach out to us. They're yelling at the top of their lungs and, can't you see me? No, we can't. But there are moments when they slip through and their toe dips into our world. And we see that and we hear that.
Oftentimes in my experiences, they're laughing. And so I hear this like sort of dark kind of laughter, but maybe it's just a dead buddy that's just laughing at me, like, and because of for some reason it sounds dark because it's interdimensional, and so maybe the tone gets changed or whatever. It could just be like my buddy from a few years ago that croaked, checking in on me, and he's just cracking up because I'm so scared. I mean, I would do the same thing if I was visiting a good friend of mine from the other side and he was frozen in fear and couldn't quite see me, but I could hang out there and look at him. I'd get a kick out of it. So, have you ever messed with a Ouija board? Oh, yeah. You've gone there. About that, too. Oh, God. Yeah, I had I stopped ever messing with those in my teens because we had a really weird experience with it. Me and a bunch of friends went out to the woods and boys and girls in high school and did a Ouija board thing. And the Ouija board said stuff that was so just ultimately terrifying and smart and intelligent and high vocabulary, and that it just couldn't have been any of my dumbass friends at the time. So, and it was so scary at the end of it that, I just decided not to mess with those things anymore. Would you, if you could, would you invite something from the other side to hang out? I don't think so. I don't want to mess with. I don't want to. It depends on if I knew if it didn't have ulterior motives or not, and then how could you really know? I would always be hesitant to ask anything from the other side to come, come on in. Well, and that was part of the thing in the Ouija board. All this spirit said its name was like Abel or Sable, I can't remember. And then it said, flip me over. And we said, what? And it said, flip me over. And then somebody said, what do you mean, the board? And it said, yes, yes, yes. And then my buddy flipped the board over, and then we all went, whoa, what'd you do that for, man? And then we all, boys and girls, we slept really close together in the tent that night, terrified of what we might have unleashed on the world. Well, what about ghost hunting your own house? Walking around trying to capture EVPs to see if there's any spirits in your own home. Would you do anything like that? I'm going to tell you right now, I wouldn't. I don't want to know what's here. Yeah, I don't want to know what's here either. I'd rather just stay in the dark about it. Have you
Have you watched any of those shows?
Yeah.
Zach Bagans.
Is Zach the big, like, tough dude that's all muscular?
Yeah.
I've watched his show.
And this is the thing, and back to the interdimensionality side of it, is when you capture those EVPs and those voices, I think that there's actually a lot of reality to that, because they are speaking through the medium of electronics. And if they are interdimensional, they're an energy. You know what I mean? It's an electronic thing that is going on there, and it just happens to be, some miracle.
Some of those things have been way too specifically. It couldn't be. I mean, some of the things are so clear. Those EVPs, clear couple sentences, that come through. That there's got to be something to it. Edison believed it. Edison believed that he could make a machine that could record voices from the other side, if indeed they existed. And that's basically what the technology is based on, right? I think I don't know much about it, but
no. Well, see, that's what I'm trying to say when I call it a miracle. All of these. I have a Tascam, a digital recorder. I have a couple of them here, and those weren't designed to capture EVPs. They just happen to be able to capture EVPs, and that's what I'm saying. It's like a miracle, that this actually happens. Whether it's a cassette tape or it's a digital recording, and you don't necessarily have to hear, with your ears what's going on. It just happens to be able to capture these spirits or whoever they are.
Yeah, and then you go back and play it, and it clearly goes, "I lost my baby."
Right.
Like, come on, that's enough for me to believe that something's over there.
And it's always the ones of the kids. When you hear a kid's voice, that's what gets to me. But I know that there is something going on, and I don't know what it is, but I think that we can all accept. When we talked about Carlos Castaneda earlier, when and Terrence McKinnon and
I hung out with those dudes, man. Those were like my dad's good friends, McKenna and Baba Ram Das and Timothy Leary. Like, we were running with that crowd when I was a kid.
Well, everything that they talked about back then. Yeah. That's what physicists today are talking about, the 11 dimensions. And they are working really hard to prove these theories now when, shamans and McKenna and that crowd was talking about, way back. And so I think that there is something to this. And I think that science needs to try to embrace this, because the conversations of experiences over the past, couple of decades about this science is consistent. Everybody is seeing the same thing, and there's something to it.
Yeah, no doubt. And also, McKenna and all his experiences. I've done a couple of shamanistic rituals and been a party to getting to see that side of consciousness. And it's been like 7 years since I did anything like that. But I was at a shaman ritual in northern Washington, actually northern Oregon, and it completely left my body and completely was out of my body and completely in a different place. No idea of what I am. As far as you think of yourself as like, I'm Jimmy Church, I'm a radio show host, and I talk about UFOs, and I believe in this, and I believe in that, and you base your identity on all these things that you've done in your life. Well, these shamans like McKenna, and I don't know if he considers himself a shaman, but these guys that take ayahuasca and DMT and some of these other spiritual journey natural chemicals in tree barks and etc., they completely take you out of your body. And I've been to that place. And
well, you know what? I got to take a break. We're going to do that right there. When we come back, I want to discuss this. I want to go straight there because we have, this is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, our guest is Manu. Hold on for a second. Let me, you know what? No, let's just stay right here. I was actually going to say something else. Our guest tonight is Manu Intiraymi, and I wanted to talk about the circuit, but we're going to put that off a little bit because the ayahuasca thing is something that we have been studying, and DMT and the consistent images that everybody has had. And I'm going to quiz you about that when we come back. I'm going to stay right there. Manu, stay right there. This is Fade to Black.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
The station that talks the net. KGRA Radio.
Hello, I'm Katie, and you're listening to my main man, Jimmy Church, on jimmychurchradio.com.
Hi, this is Ray Hobbs here, repping the planet, and you're listening to my good friend, Jimmy Church, Fade to Black, on the Game Changer Network and the KGRA digital broadcast station.
Foodforliberty.com sells high-quality, storable foods from Numana. And right now, take advantage of our summer special. Purchase 2 family packs and we'll send you a Pro Pure Water Pitcher, a $70 value, free. This premium pitcher is ideal for use with just about any water source and removes more contaminants than other brands. And it comes with a filter that lasts up to 2 full years. Whether you need to be prepared in the event of an emergency, you're an outdoor sports enthusiast, Numana is known for high-quality, great-tasting, GMO-free, super nutritious food with no chemical preservatives. And with a 25-year shelf life, you can't beat the feeling of being food secure when you need it most. Go to foodforliberty.com right now for great-tasting, high-quality, storable foods from Numana. Buy 2 family packs and get the Pro Pure Water Pitcher free. It makes good sense to be prepared. Get it at foodforliberty.com.
Imagine no longer being tied down to your computer, but having the freedom to take live talk radio with you anywhere you go. TalkStream Live introduces our first ever iPhone application. The talk shows you follow now follow you, and your iPhone is now the fastest and easiest way to stay connected to the best talk radio on the internet. Let TalkStream Live transform the way you listen to radio. Listen to live talk shows 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Mobile talk radio from TalkStream Live. Now available in the iTunes App Store.
This is Toby Kebbell. You're listening to jimmychurchradio.com. Don't hurt me, Jimmy. I'm only little.
Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier.
And this is Ari Gold.
We're the Honey Brothers.
Yes.
We are of the Honey Brothers. Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier.
And I'm Ari Gold.
We're the Honey Brothers.
And you're listening to Jimmy Church.
The Revolution.
What's up, Fadernauts? Studio Dome loves Fade to Black and the F2B audience so much that they have put together the ultimate stereo Bluetooth system. They've done it just for you. Man, check this out. The Studio Dome SBB2 stereo system is here. It's featuring 2 Studio Boombox 2 SBB2 wireless Bluetooth speakers, packed in its own custom hardshell case. This Studio Dome system features the very latest in stereo Bluetooth technology. The 2 full-range boomboxes are in true wireless stereo. You've got to hear this. It's amazing. It's just $129, and use the promo code JCRTWS, and you'll also get free shipping. It's simple. Just go to jimmychurchradio.com, click on the Studio Dome banner. Go Beckley Tepe.
This is Micah Hanks of the Gralien Report, and you're listening to Jimmy Church on Fade to Black, across the globe on the Game Changer Radio Network and the one and only KGRA Radio, The Planet.
All right, welcome back to Fade to Black. Our guest tonight, Manu Intiraymi. And we are talking about, we're talking about the paranormal, but we were just getting into, Manu, Terrence McKenna and shamans and, obviously talking about ayahuasca and DMT. And I used to, I still do. I've made these comments a lot about Terrence over the years. Maybe he was just a guy that liked to get really baked. right? And he definitely took it to a level that you and I probably will never know anything about. Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. But today, guys like, Graham Hancock and other people out there are talking about this definite other world that you are taken to. And this other world is it's a real place. This is not, part of getting high or your imagination. This is a definite dimension and another world that has been, and I've done a lot of research into this, it has been accurately described from so many different people that it is the exact same place, and who you visit and who speaks to you and what you see and so forth. Was that your experience as well?
Absolutely. And I don't even consider these things. It's very taboo to talk about in America, but they've done some research with DMT, some actual legitimate research in clinical trials in America, just a few years ago, actually, where they injected DMT, which is basically the ayahuasca, but broken down, a quick acting. So the difference between DMT and ayahuasca is not much. It's still dimethyltryptamine. But ayahuasca has to break down in your system during the ceremony, and it takes a while to go into your system. DMT almost instantly goes into your system. So you leave your body basically within seconds and go to this place. So I always tell people, I'm not into drugs anymore. I mean, in my childhood, I partied a little bit. But when I talk about ayahuasca and DMT, I don't consider them drugs. I consider them spiritual the whole of South America, the whole culture, it's a spiritual culture down there that it's a religion. It's a church. It's a tool of the church just as much as like wine and a cracker is for the Christians.
Right.
And you literally get to go to the spirit world when you take that stuff and when you go on that journey. And I always think also that if you get the opportunity to go to that world, that you should do it right. It's not a party drug, ayahuasca or DMT. These are things that they should be done in a spiritual atmosphere under the guide of a shaman. They're not something you just want to pop and then walk and go see a movie on, because you're not going to make it.
Yeah, right. And you know what's fascinating to me is that the ayahuasca ceremony, you can't. You need both components for it to break down in your stomach to get accepted into your system, and for them to figure out the chemical compounds of how to get these two to interact inside of you. It's not an accident. I don't know how they figured it out, but it is a definite. This is almost it's like a real science.
Yeah, and the science behind it is really wild too, because dimethyltryptamine tryptamines are in every living thing out there. Everything that is alive in any way, shape, or form makes these things.
Right.
And so when they go to the receptors in your mind, you literally go to this interconnected place that all life comes from, and that's the only way that I could explain it. Is I felt like. But even using the word "I" in the sense of an ayahuasca or a DMT journey is wrong, because you have no sense of yourself. You have no sense of being an individual of any kind. So even saying "I felt like" is wrong. It's really hard to describe the journey. But for lack of a better word, I felt like I was sitting at the center of the DNA molecule, and all life is made up of this stuff, DNA, and you can slap it on a rock and you can blow it out into the universe, and it can travel for millions and millions of years and land on a planet that happens to be ripe for life, and millions of years it'll do its thing all over again and form different forms of life. And that's the amazing thing that we are, that all of us are. The science behind it, that's a fact. We are all made up of this stuff. And so that's the journey that I had when I came when I had the experience and came out of the experience is I realized that I literally was interconnected with every living thing on the planet, and that I always had been and always would be.
I read today. I do facts on the show, right? These Fader facts. And I read today, this was going to be my Fader fact today, and you just said it. 99.99% of DNA is identical in every human being.
Yeah.
It's all the same. The differences that make us different are so minute compared to what the DNA strand it actually is. 99.99% is identical. We're all identical.
Yeah. And then the individuality and the differences mostly are in our minds.
And were you able to remember everything?
No, no. The only thing that I remember really, there's little flashes of memories, but what I remember really clearly was just buzzing at the center of whatever that life cause is. I felt like I was in the center of the DNA molecule, just vibrating. I remember a sense of vibrating and a sense of all these different beautiful colors that I was just resting in, calm at the center of what all life is, whatever that is. So I always say, like, and when I came out of it and I started looking at other human beings in the eyes, I saw myself in them very clearly. I saw that they were me and I was them. And, you know, you can say this and sound like really cliche and hippie and far out, man. Oh, yeah, you're me and I'm you. Wow.
Right.
But it's actually, you know, it was very clear to me that we're all the same thing. And it was really funny because it was at a rainbow gathering. And right afterwards, I saw this fire broke out at a kitchen, and we were in the forest, and I saw all the different personality types in mankind. The A-type personality that controls the B-type. Right. It goes, hey, everybody, go get some buckets. You grab a bucket. You grab a bucket. And I saw like the passive personality types that are like, oh, okay, I'll go grab a bucket. And just like I saw the 12 personality types, your brain's like for the few minutes after you come back is operating at a conscious level that's a little bit above what you usually operate with your eyes open. And I watched why there's passive people, why there's aggressive people, why there's dumb people, smart people. There's a reason for all of it. And I watched it put out the fire.
Oh, that is crazy. Yeah. Well, now, okay, so there was the Manu before and the Manu after.
Yeah.
Changed?
The Manu before had some doubt. I used to doubt, I was always a spiritual person. I always believed in some form of creators, but I had doubt. I don't have any doubt anymore after those experiences. I know that life is magic. I know that the world and the universe and all the dimensions and all the math and all the amazing things that mankind and what we're doing here is not pointless in any way, shape, or form. I know that we're everlasting, and I don't say that to be a Jesus pusher or a God pusher of any kind, but I do think we need like a new definition for God, because this world fights over what the guys or the gals or its name is, and we got to stop that nonsense.
Well, were you when you came back to reality, if that's the right if that's the right definition? Yeah. Did you not like this reality? Did you maybe want to go back?
No,
where you just were.
No, in fact, it's I felt like I didn't need to go back to that place. I felt like that place was there as a reminder of what I'm doing here.
Right.
And in fact, I haven't done a drug or hallucinated since. It was a very clear sort of like drive-through enlightenment that afterwards it's been over 8 years now, I think, since that experience, and I don't feel like I felt my person change. I've become a much more positive human being. And in fact, if you look at the DMT studies that they did in the States, you'll see that they gave this stuff to, postal workers, police officers, librarians, doctors, every form of human being. And if you watch all of their interviews after having the experience, you can tell just by looking at their eyes and listening to them talk that every one of these people was the better for it.
So you went to university, you graduated. There's no reason to go back to university.
Yeah, that's kind of what I feel like. I don't feel like I need to do that again. Been there, done that, was amazing, but it's not like a drug. That's why I never refer to these things as drugs. Like, I want to go get ripped on DMT again. No, it wasn't like that. It was a spiritual quest that I was on, and once I found the answer, I don't even need to look anymore.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I know that at some point, I need to sit down in a controlled environment and check it out. I have to.
Yeah.
I want to speak about it from experience. I come from the music industry. There isn't any zone I haven't been to, in my life. I've been there, but in the last, couple of, 20 years, I haven't gone into that zone. But DMT is a different situation. And
I would highly recommend it over the ayahuasca. And I'll tell you why. Ayahuasca slowly strips your identity because it's breaking down in your body very slowly. And so there's a fight, and you have to fight to the chemical eventually wins, but you have to fight to let go of Jimmy.
Right.
Let go of who Jimmy is. And it's terrifying. And so there's a couple of hours there where you're fighting to keep your identity and not to go to this other place and not to let it take you. And it's hellacious, and it's the scariest part. And then when you go, it's beautiful and it's wild and worth all of it. But DMT, you don't have to go through that because you're instantly there. Everybody that does it does the same thing. They take in a puff, they blow out the puff. You watch them lay back down. They usually lay back down backwards, and they go out for about 12 minutes, and then they wake up.
Yeah, I've read this. I've heard the same thing. I'm laughing at this because I've heard the same thing over and over again. Once you do the puff or two, right?
Yeah.
There is no turning back at that point. And then no matter what, 12 minutes later, 13 minutes later, 14 minutes later, boom, you're back.
Instantly back to your body and reality, or reality as you once knew it.
Oh man, yeah. It's in my future. I just it's got to be the right place, the right time, the right person, and so forth. But
the Rainbow Gatherings still happen, man.
It happened. It was this week.
It's this week. Yeah. This I wish I could go there, but I'm too busy, making art and making movies to go hang out in the woods. That was a different time.
Do you know Freeman Fly? Have you checked him out?
No.
Okay, write that down. Freeman Fly. Go check out Freeman. He's got a great website and stuff. He's a guest on the show all the time. A good friend.
Cool.
And he is there right now. He is there. Talked to him last week. He goes, dude, man, I just got my plane tickets, man. I'm going to Rainbow.
They go to Rainbow.
Yeah. I said, so I said, hey, man, you ever, do the body paint and run around naked? He goes, I did it once. I just wanted to see what it was like to experience that. He goes, man, I did it. And I ran across the field there, and I got to the other side, and I said, okay, this isn't for me. It was so fun. And to hear him, I just totally threw him under the bus. But he goes, yeah, man, I did it. But no, I go with clothes on to Rainbow. But he's there right now. It's an
awesome experience for anyone that doesn't know what the Rainbow family is. For like 50 years now, I think, maybe even longer. The 60s generation has been sort of hiding within society. They're still there, and their children are still there, and they come out to the forest, in a national forest, every year, about 30,000 people strong when there's a good one, sometimes more, and they set up a village in the national forest, in the middle of the forest, and they set up theater and live music, and there's money's not allowed, alcohol's not allowed. and it's during the July 4th weekend. It's actually for all of June and all of July, but it caps the 1st through the 7th of July. And it's basically like, a medieval hippie village of just, artists and writers and poets and everyday people too, doctors, lawyers, etc., that just go out and pray for peace and love and watch some theater and watch some dance and some people walk around naked with body paint.
Yeah, I've watched quite a few videos of different rainbow events over the years, and it's just like you said, it's always been there. That part of society has always been there. They just get together and do their thing. That's all. They do their thing. They don't hold back.
And every year they have to fight to gather. Every year the federal government tries to stop them from gathering, and they have to use their First Amendment rights or whatever it is, and they fight to gather peacefully, and they win every year, and it's a beautiful experience. What was the most amazing thing about the rainbow experience for me was that often nothing usually you get 30,000 people somewhere at some kind of festival for more than a month. There's fights and horrible things happen, and very rarely at Rainbow does any bad event happen to anybody.
Yeah, I might have done.
Some people get ripped off every once in a while. Someone gets hurt, but it's not prevalent like it would be like at a concert or
I would have done it when I was 20. But it looks totally fun, but it's just I've how do I say this? I've matured into another direction.
I'm too glued into what I'm doing in society with with what I'm doing here in society to tune in and drop out anymore. I did that as a kid.
Were you here in you're 38, so were you here in the 80s in Hollywood?
No, I moved to Hollywood in 95.
95. So you missed that whole run of the Sunset Strip in the 80s.
Yeah, I did.
Because that, there are some parallels to what went on in the 60s in the United States and that magic moment that what went on in the 80s on Sunset Boulevard. It was a moment in time that you can't
never get back.
No, and you can't force it. You know what I mean? You can't make something like that happen. It's totally organic. And that period of freedom, and it was a total freedom thing in Hollywood from 1980, 81, 82 to until grunge kicked in. But I would say 88 was the end of the era. 89. You could probably.
It must have been awesome, man, because the music at that time was amazing.
It was, and like I said, it was a total freedom thing. Everybody was just doing exactly what the moment prescribed, and there were no limitations on it, man. And it was a really cool, creative, fun period. Now, just imagine, I know where you live now, right? And you know the Strip.
Yeah.
So imagine, the Strip now, today, what it's like. Now, imagine back then, between Doheny going down to where Tower Records used to be.
Yeah.
That, past the Viper Room, both sides of the street, 8 people wide, full. So you would have 10,000 people on that sidewalk walking up and down, going to the clubs with spandex and Aquanet, right?
That's awesome.
7 nights a week. And you could go into a club and see Guns N' Roses or Poison, or Warrant, all the Faster Pussycat, all these things that, went on to become very big. But those were bar bands, at one point. And that's what was going on. It was this vibrant thing, this organic thing. And it was totally cool to be part of it.
Well, besides the hair bands too, like wasn't there the hip sort of like they weren't. I can't call them punk rockers, but
no, there was a big
Talking Heads. And,
yes, there was all of that too as well, and also see the punk scene was huge too, and we had different punk clubs at the same time. So you had bands like Black Flag and like No Doubt, and you had the Orange County punk scene that would come up here and play, and there were different clubs up on around the Sunset Strip like Raji's, and you had Club Lingerie. But you had this vibrant, you had Tex and the Horseheads and the Germs and X,
man, you got to see all of that.
All of it going on at the same time. It was incredible. L.A. between 1980 and 1990 was the place to be. And then, of course, after that, Seattle happened and the Sunset Strip ended, and it ended almost overnight. There are people that are listening to me right now with nostalgic memories that remember that time, and it just came to a screeching halt like overnight. It was yeah.
I got a buddy, Shane West, who played the lead singer from the Germs in a film called The Circle that was pretty cool.
Yeah, great movie. Yes,
that's the only sort of taste of that I got. I was probably 8, 9, 10, 12 years old at the time, so I was listening to all the music, and I was rolling around wherever I was with my rollerblades, my NC Hammer pants, and my boombox and my mullet. But I never was in LA at the time. I just got to hear the tunes.
It really happened. And see, that's the thing. It actually, this whole, it really, I mean, I remember, we're going to head to a break here, but I'll tell you a funny story. So I get to LA, this is 84, and I become friends with Gina Zamparelli, and she was a big concert promoter back then. And she takes me to the Rainbow, 1984. I walk in, and she's, everybody knows who she is, right? And I just happen to become friends with her through her dad, Mario Zamparelli. So she takes me there, and I walk in to the Rainbow, and I'm walking through, and anybody that you can name is like there that night. I'm a little starstruck, but also I'm in a great mood. We walk across the parking lot, and we go into the Roxy, and Poison is playing. Now, this is 3 years before they got famous. And there's there's 30, 40 people there, 50 people, I don't know, and the waitresses doing their thing. And I'm watching this band, and I'm thinking, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen. Now, we all know what happened after that, right? But my point being, we just walked into a bar, right? I mean, it was like that. And you could go into any club and see, this amazing talent, and it was just I look back at it now, Manu, and I just think I can't even believe that happened, but it really did. It was a magical time to be in Los Angeles.
What were you doing at the time?
I was playing guitar. I was playing
music,
I was playing guitar. I was in a band, and I did all that stuff. I played all the clubs and did everything that everybody else did. I ended up, I laid down the guitar in 87, 88 and started producing bands. And so that's what I did. I produced all these hair bands on the Strip and started a music career in another direction. I started producing.
Wow.
Yeah. It was way, way, way too much fun. And the thing is back then, as big as it was for the rest of the country, Hollywood, this was just a couple of blocks. Okay, that's it. It was a couple of blocks. So all of the bands knew each other. Everybody supported each other. It was a very small community that to this day, we're all still friends. And it was as big as MTV was, and as big as it was played up to be, and millions of records and all of that. We all were just part of this small group of people.
How weird is it that it's always like that?
Yes, I know.
If you think of like the painters scene with Andy Warhol and all those guys that hung out at the
loft
in New York.
Yes.
And those little scenes that have, catastrophic artistic consequences all over society, but they're usually just like one real small club of people hanging out in one small zone that happens to get that magical thing happen to it. That's so weird.
It's an accident. You know,
Yeah.
and you can't, like I said, you can't force it. There isn't some magical thing. No.
And the '60s in Greenwich Village and the Beat Poets and all that thing that was all Greenwich, right? I mean,
And think about what was going on in London, you know, with the Beatles and the Stones and everything that happened over there too as well. Listen, we got to take a break. Let's do that right here. Our guest tonight, Manu Intiraymi. Now, when we come back, we have to talk about the circuit because
we'll get into the movie.
Because I want to. Okay.
Yeah, me too.
You know, Manu, this is still my show. It's still my show. We'll do that when we come back. It's Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Stay right there.
I'm your host, Manu.
Yeah, right now.
Way out here, we listen to Jimmy Church.
You're listening to Fade to Black.
Always on the edge of the hottest alternative talk. Jimmy Church with Fade to Black. KGRARadio.com.
¿Qué tal, mis amigos? Yo soy Mario Carson, el tiburón, y los invito para que escuchen a mi buen amigo Jimmy Church Radio. ¡Claro que sí!
Poor water quality is a major health issue, and it's only getting worse. Municipalities can't keep up, standards have dropped, and pollutants are increasing. Where does it all end? It ends by keeping the pollutants outside of your home with HydroCare's advanced systems available at Wave Home Solutions. No less than the best purification materials and processes have been developed by HydroCare to provide you with healthy, clean water for drinking, cooking, and showering. HydroCare far surpasses the competition in removing chlorine, odors, iron, lead, chemicals, limescale, and much more. Don't settle for less when it comes to your water. We'll take care of the toughest water problems for you, whether it's from a city or well source. Satisfaction guaranteed. For more information, call 888-997-WAVE. That's 888-997-WAVE. Or go to bestwater123.com. That's bestwater123.com.
Wave Home Solutions for a healthy, comfortable home.
Did you ever turn to your radio for your favorite talk show to find that it's been preempted for this?
In the air to deep right center. Back goes Lewis to the wall, and it's out of here!
Or this?
And I'm ashamed of you, Hillary, for voting for it.
Do you have a favorite talk radio program that's not available in your city? Just go to TalkStreamLive.com for links to the best streaming talk radio shows. At TalkStream Live, you will find live talk shows 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. All your favorites are here. With such a large selection, you will also discover some new favorites. On the go and still want to listen? With the mobile smartphone, simply type TalkStream Live on your internet browser. Now you can take internet radio with you. You will also find hundreds of music, news, and sports streams. Best of all, the TalkStream Live directory is free and there's never a login required. Remember TalkStreamLive.com, the fastest route between you and your favorite talk radio show.
You are listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Oi, oi, I'm Reese Evans. You're listening to Jimmy Church. This is Revolution. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution is on radio. Ciao.
Welcome back to Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Follow me on Twitter right now at JChurchRadio. Email is jimmy@jimmychurchradio.com. Our guest tonight, Manu Intiraymi. And he's got a new project that he's working on called The Circuit. And as promised, we tried to get to it over the last 2 hours. and this is the thing, Manu. The Circuit, which we're going to talk about now, but it couldn't have happened, obviously, without Star Trek Voyager. How did you land that gig?
There is a little bit of magic behind the way that I landed Star Trek Voyager, but long story short is it's just a simple thing as my agent got me the audition and I auditioned and got the role. But the weird thing behind it was the first casting director that I ever auditioned for in Hollywood when I came out here when I was 17, his name was Ron Surma. And I auditioned for this movie called Senseless with Marlon Wayans and David Spade, where Marlon Wayans gets super senses. And I got the part because the girl, to talk about the punk rock scene, the girl that was casting that movie was named Penelope Spheris.
Oh, I know Penelope, right?
Yeah, and so she did a couple of great punk rock documentaries. And she liked me, I think, because I was a little punk rock kid from up north. But I really messed up in the film. Like, I was awful. I was really bad. And Ron Surma heard that, and Ron Surma cast Star Trek Voyager. So maybe 3 years later, they're casting the role of Icheb for Voyager. Actually, they were casting the role of Second. And my agent and him were getting a pedicure together, and my agent said, hey, you have to see Manu from the role. And and Ron remembered that I was that horrible actor from Senseless that blew it. And he was like, no way, I'm not seeing that guy. And my agent fought for me and threw a hissy fit. And the girl that was cutting his toenails cut his foot because he moved and like, you have to see my effing client, you know? So because my agent cut his foot, Ron Surma felt bad and let me come in and read for it. And I turned out to book it. And I actually, first I read for the guy that dies in that episode, which was the Borg character number 1, the villain. And I didn't get the part. And then they offered me the other part, and the other part ended up becoming Icheb, and he ended up being on the show for the last 2 seasons. So, sort of, fireworks going on outside.
It's so cool. You know, we're in this bunker, but I can hear the rumblings of stuff going on outside too. So you may it's deep and rumbling down here. It's I wish I was outside, but anyway,
getting crazy. Yeah. So for 2 years, I worked on a spaceship. Man, it was great. It was an amazing journey. Great actors, amazing writing, and it was Star Trek. And I grew up watching Kirk and Spock and those films, and so it was a dream come true in many ways.
And so now you're thrown into the Star Trek world.
Yeah.
I mean, that is...
my God, did I not know?
Right. I mean, seriously. I don't know if you know Vic Mignogna. Yeah, and he does Star Trek Continues. And that's a great, I'm sure you've seen it, and it's really well done. But he was telling me too as well that he had, he's a big Star Trek fan, and you go and you do the series, but now he's in the Star Trek universe now, and it's a nutty world.
Well, I had no idea. My second year on the show, Bob Picardo, who plays the holographic doctor, in China Beach, and he's a legend, tapped me on the shoulder and said, how many episodes have you done now? And I was like 10 or something. And he was like, you should do conventions. I didn't know what conventions were. So I was like, what's that? And he says, well, you go and you sit down and people come and celebrate Star Trek and you sign your autograph and they give you money. And I was like, no way. I'm not going to go make people pay for my autograph. That's ridiculous, And, little by little, he coaxed me into going and checking one out. And then I was hooked after the first one, of course.
I got to ask you, what was that first experience like?
It was surreal. It was completely surreal. My first convention was in Germany at a convention called FedCon. And I didn't know that I was going to have to go out on stage for an hour with a microphone and talk to 7,500 people at 22 years old. I didn't have a lot to tell people. They just handed me a microphone and they said, go. And, I walked out on stage and I think I probably had the best Q&A that I've ever had before or since in 15 years of going to Star Trek and pop culture conventions. I walked out on stage at 22 years old and I had no idea what to tell these people. And so I just started telling them a story about this mountain goat that attacked me and my friend when I was 8. And they started laughing and they let me be my 22-year-old self. And then people stood up and started asking me questions about the episodes and telling me how the episodes affected their lives.
Right.
And it really rocked me because I did this episode called Imperfection where I gave my cortical node to 7 of 9. 9. But what the episode was really about was it was about giving up your kidney or your for a loved one or for someone close to you. And this man stood up with his cousin or his brother or something, and they had tears in their eyes, and they were thanking me for the episode because it helped them get through this kidney transplant. And when I read that episode, when I was about to go do it, I knew the impact that the episode was going to have because it was so well written.
Right.
And I called my mother at 22 years old, young actor, and I was crying because the episode read so well. And I'm like, Mom, I'm going to get to do something that's going to affect people. I think this is going to actually mean something. Like I'm doing what I love. I was crying. And 2 years later, I'm in Germany at this convention, and this guy that I don't know from halfway around the world stands up with tears in his eyes and says thank you to me. And that immediately rocked me, and I started crying on stage. And then he said he was sorry for making me cry. And I was like, no, thank you. That's the full circle thing that acting is all about. And since then, it's been this beautiful journey of going around the world to different cultures. And no other show, other shows, it's catching on. The pop culture convention thing is getting so big.
Mm-hmm.
But at the time, there was no other show that not only could you get to pretend that you're on a spaceship for 2 years, but then for 15 to you're dead basically afterwards, you could go around the world and share stories and get love for it from every culture on the planet. So
isn't it amazing how, I didn't mean to cut you off, but to stay on this mindset here, isn't it amazing how Galaxy Quest is a documentary? Most people that don't know about the Star Trek world, that Galaxy Quest is a great comedy. It's a great movie, but
it's spot on.
It's spot on, isn't it?
It's spot on. So when Galaxy Quest actually came out on the 7th season of Voyager while we were doing Voyager. And I went and saw it, and the cast the next morning had all seen it, a number of us had seen it. And we were laughing so hard because it was so right on to what we were doing. And the circuit is actually, trying to do the same thing. We're trying to set an anthology film in the world of conventions, but do multiple genres in our anthology. So it's like Galaxy Quest meets The Twilight Zone.
And okay, now the concept behind it, and I was talking to you about this earlier today, when I had first read it and you were looking for submissions and so forth, that I thought, if this can be pulled off, this is not an easy idea to, get it through for fruition and complete, because it's ambitious.
Oh, it's way ambitious, and the studios would never back it because it's too crazy. It's every genre, every anthology film that's ever been made has stuck to the same genre. You either see a bunch of horror stories, or you see a bunch of stories about romance, or you see a bunch of stories about a city. You think of New York Stories, or Paris Je T'aime, or VHS, or Stephen King's Cat's Eye, or Twilight Zone the movie, etc. They all stick to their genres. We want to stick to the place, the location. And a convention is a place that all of us go to celebrate genre filmmaking and all the different genres of movies that we love, the sci-fi, the superhero, the horror, the fantasy genres. So we want to, comedy and drama, we want to have 10 stories that take place at the convention world, but that are all those different genres. So we basically say 10 stories, 10 directors, 10 genres, one convention.
I would guess that this is exactly what every actor that participates in these conventions, that have done this work, this is exactly what they would want to sign up for. Right?
We have not had a problem getting people interested, because all of us that have been doing this for 15 years or more, 5 or 2 years, have seen such surreal things behind the velvet rope. The fans, I don't think, have any real understanding of what happens backstage at some of these things. Really weird things have happened to me at these places. And then to top that off and blend it into a little bit of fiction and a little bit of genre filmmaking, and how much of it's going to be true and how much of it's going to be fiction. And that's going to be part of the fun of watching it, is, how much of this is fact and how much is fiction.
Now, are you intentionally going to tie everything together? There's going to be a beginning and an end.
Absolutely. I mean, it's an anthology film, so it's going to be 8 to 10 different stories. But there are a couple of characters that my writer buddy that's on board named James Bird, who just released Honey Glue this year and Eat Spirit Eat the year before, is going on to make his third film called Boats with I can't tell you the guy that's producing it. That sucks. But he's a great writer, and he's figured out a way to keep a couple of characters that are magical in a certain way. I can't tell you, but they make their way through all these different genre stories and tie the thing in a neat bow.
Did you get Vic Mignogna involved?
Vic's not involved at the moment, but I don't see why he couldn't be. I haven't talked to him about it, but I could.
Yeah, you should. I mean,
we've got Robert Picardo, we've got Tim Russ from Voyager, we've got sci-fi stars, epic stars like Walter Koenig, we've got Gigi Edgley from Farscape, Doug Jones from Hellboy and Silver Surfer, we've got Miltos from Yarmello from Game of Thrones, Rob Archer from Defiance. We basically have the who's who. We've got Cody St. New from Teen Wolf. So we basically got all these actors that are either fantasy, sci-fi, known for their work in fantasy, sci-fi, superhero, or horror, and brought them all together to do this film.
Now, this is the interesting part. I don't think the audience understands where the stories are coming from either.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I'm going to throw this over at you.
Yeah, well, half of them are written by professional Hollywood directors and writers. And then half of the stories, I decided a year ago when we were getting the project together, I was back at FedCon 15 years later at that convention in Germany I was telling you about. And at the time, it was just going to be about the actors, and it was going to be about what happens behind the scenes at these things. But I looked out into the audience, and there were 6,000 people there, and the room was packed. And I started looking into the eyes. Music was playing, Star Trek music was playing, and I started seeing all these people that I'd met over the weekend that had shared these amazing stories with me about their lives. And I went, oh my God, half of this story has to be from the fans' point of view. That's what the convention circuit is.
Right.
Of course, the circuit means the convention circuit. It's how we refer to, all these conventions that happen around the world every year. And I decided then and there that, okay, half of these stories have to come from the fan base, and half of these stories will come from the actors, and we'll tell all these stories from all these different perspectives of the convention. And we've opened it up for submissions at www.thecircuitfilm.com. You can submit a 1 to 20 page screenplay, and we have free screenplay software on the site. Or you can just write a 1 to 20 page short story. And if we like your short story enough, you'll get to come and work on the film, get story by credit, and get to see your story adapted into a screenplay and made into the movie.
And how's that going so far? What have the submissions been like? I mean, off the hook?
We have a bunch of them. Right now, we have 2 stories we really like that we think are going to make the movie. But we're 10 weeks away from the launch. We're going to launch on Kickstarter on September 20th. And we've just started to go into PR mode and let the world know about this. For the last few months, I've been leaking stuff on my Facebook pages and Instagram, etc., at the Circuit Movie. And I've been going around to Germany and Italy and the States and Canada and playing little trailers to the film to sort of just sneak a little information out here or there. But for the next 10 weeks, we're really going to go gung-ho and try to let the world know about this. So we're expecting the submissions to start come pouring in. And it's really cool because it's like we're going to make the most fan collaborative, professional, celebrity-filled film ever created. I mean, that's the idea is, to make the most celebrity fan collaborative anthology film in the history of Hollywood. And what better place to do that but a sci-fi convention or a pop culture Comic-Con.
And because everybody, you have everybody playing themselves, right? Essentially. Is it, you keep saying anthology. I see documentary / mockumentary too, as well. I mean, am I wrong in kind of characterizing it like that?
I think one of the when I say anthology film, you usually see in an anthology film, say like VHS or whatever, you would usually see one story about 8 to 12 to 16 minutes long. You'd see a title card that would start the episode, and then the episode would finish. You'd see another title card that would start the second episode, or you'd have a host or a story that was somehow connecting the stories. What we're doing is we're rapidly twisting the genre. Instead of title cards, we're telling a story that for 12 minutes will be a buddy comedy. And that story will end, and the camera will move off to somewhere else in the convention, and we'll rapidly twist genre to a supernatural horror film. And then we'll rapidly twist genre to a musical. And then we'll rapidly twist genre to a mockumentary. So there's definitely room for a mockumentary in the anthology. But it's an anthology of different genres.
At a convention.
At a convention. 10 stories at a convention, but 10 different genres.
Do you know how sick this sounds and fun?
Yeah, it's going to be a blast. From a filmmaking perspective, it's going to be a blast. And I've gathered, I've been an actor, producer for 6 years, but an actor for close to 20 now. And I've pulled together every favor that I have in town and all the most talented young directors and older directors that I know to get this thing done, and basically every talent that I know in the CG world. And we're not only going to have people write and submit and come and be collaborative with us from the writing perspective, but what we want to do is, if you support the project and you're interested in filmmaking, for each and every episode of the anthology film series, we're going to bring in one fan per key department of filmmaking. So if you're interested in the art department, or you're interested in CG effects, or you're interested in practical makeup effects, or camera, or directing, or acting, or wardrobe, or makeup, etc., we're going to try to bring in one intern fan for every department of every episode.
Wow, that's almost too cool.
Yeah.
And it's certainly something that you don't have to do. And for somebody that's never been involved in something like this, man, now, let me ask you this. I almost said Manu. Man. But let me ask you this. What about consistency? Are you going to have one DP shoot all 10 stories?
Yeah, we're going to shoot it very much like you would a television series. So it's the same crew, same DP, same small talented crew. The directors will change, but the crew won't. So you will have a consistent look. And then, of course, you've got James Bird in charge of having the consistent through-line story.
Right.
So that you get to see all these different genres and all these different fun, amazing stories of different genres. But I don't want to make Kentucky Fried Movie. I don't want to make a movie that's all over the place.
Right.
So it has to be written really, really brilliantly. And the way that we'll do that is we'll get all the writers that win, and we'll get all the writers that have already written their screenplays into a room and run it like a writer's room, like you would in television, where you have a showrunner, and the showrunner puts all the stories up on the board, and they say, okay, here's all the stories in the movie, and here's the story that we have to fit into all those stories, and they'll get it done.
Now, since we're talking shop, and I hope you appreciate that I'm actually really into production. So let me ask you some more production-related questions. I hope I'm not boring the audience. When we talk about DP, by the way, DP is the director of photography. And that is probably, aside from the director, might even be, in most cases, more important than the director. And to have a consistent look that you just referred to, it's very, very important. The DP's role in this type of film is probably more important than ever. Now, but also the editing. Now that sounds like it's either an editing nightmare or it's going to be an editor's dream. So what are you going to do on that side?
The same thing, same editor for each one. The directors are going to be, strictly director for hire.
Right.
They're going to go in, they know their episode, they're going to direct their episode, and then they're going to go on to their next project, and they're not going to be involved in the editing process. It's very much like television.
The same as television.
Yeah.
And again, the audience may not know when you see a TV series. It's not, 16 episodes. It's not the same director that does each episode. It's impossible because of the way the production works. And once the director is done, he's out of there. He has nothing to do with anything. After that, it goes and the production moves forward. And sometimes the director will come back and do an episode 4 episodes later. Right?
Yeah, they might do 2 or 3 a season. And
2 or 3 a season. Okay, so now, but what about your role? Is your role executive director, or are you going to give everybody free run?
I'm executive producing the thing, so I'm just going to immediately. I've already hired great producers, but I'm going to probably hire a couple more really strong producers and hire. We have strong directors attached. We have James Bird. We have Scott Baker, who just did my last film, Fifth Passenger. Tim Russ is probably going to direct an episode.
Really? Tim Russ is? Okay. All right.
Yeah. We're talking to Lawrence Rock, who did he just released Diablo. We really want him to do an episode. The guy that just directed Terminus, this great sci-fi film out of Australia, we're talking to him right now too. And then of course we're also gonna let a couple people that just blow us away with their submissions. We might have a couple of fans direct as well if they come in and they show us that they know what they're doing. Because out there in the new media world, there are really, really talented kids that are making amazing content. And if one of those guys shows up and shows us that they can play ball and stand up to the content that we want to deliver, then they'll direct.
And what about you? Are you going to direct an episode?
Absolutely. I'm going to do one of them at least.
The beginning and the end. I'm already predicting.
Yeah. How did you know?
I mean, like I said, this sounds so ambitious, but if it just comes together, it's probably going to end up being fairly easy.
Yeah, I think we want to raise, just to get it out there, we want to raise $1.3 million, and we want to do that so that we can shoot at separate locations, shoot at actual different conventions, actually shoot one episode overseas, and actually show, around the world what the circuit looks like. If we raise less than that and we're stuck with making a movie, because I've made a couple movies for the $350,000 type of film, the little less than $500,000 type of films, and they're really difficult to make. And if we only raised that much, then we would have to do one location, one convention, and stick to that. But it all depends on how much the fans want to see it and how much we raise to go how ambitious and how many locations we get to actually do.
Let's take a break right here, and when we come back, somebody has instructed me to ask how you saved a con in Germany, and not to let you get away from the fact that you were the hero. So I'm going straight at you, Manu, when we come back.
All right.
All right. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Our guest tonight, Manu Intiraymi. I'll be right back.
Hey, what up, y'all? It's your girl Vivica Fox here, and you are listening to my boy, Jimmy Church, on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Despite popular opinion, reading a book will not make you smarter.
But listening to Jimmy Church will.
Does your basement or crawl space have a damp, musty smell? Well, watch out. That's a sign of too much moisture and not enough ventilation. And that can mean increased mold growth and the buildup of harmful toxins and gases. Don't bother with a dehumidifier. It just circulates the same unhealthy air. Now there's a better way to remove these dangers and odors. It's with the computerized Wave Moisture Control Unit that reduces moisture and expels pollutants.
We replaced our old dehumidifier with the Wave unit, and in only 3 weeks, our basement is dry and the musty smell is gone.
Wave units require no maintenance, no buckets of water or filters, and costs only pennies a day to run. Breathe better, live healthier with an affordable, no-maintenance Wave unit. Call 888-618-WAVE, 888-618-WAVE, or visit mydryhome.com. mydryhome.com.
Ride the wave. Wave Home Solutions for a healthy, comfortable home.
What's up, Fadernauts? Studio Dome loves Fade to Black and the F2B audience so much that they have put together the ultimate stereo Bluetooth system. They've done it just for you. Man, check this out. The Studio Dome SBB2 stereo system is here. It's featuring 2 Studio Boombox 2 SBB2 wireless Bluetooth speakers, packed in its own custom hardshell case. This Studio Dome system features the very latest in stereo Bluetooth technology. The 2 full-range boomboxes are in true wireless stereo. You've got to hear this. It's amazing. It's just $129, and use the promo code JCRTWS, and you'll also get free shipping. It's simple. Just go to jimmychurchradio.com, click on the Studio Dome banner. Go Beckley Tepe.
It's not a lifestyle we chose. We were born this way. KGRAradio.com.
This is KJCR at JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Welcome back to Fade to Black. What a conversation tonight. This is exactly why I love doing this show. All right. Doing a couple of things here. Okay, I'm ready. Follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. Email is jimmy@jimmychurchradio.com. Our guest tonight, Manu Intiraymi. And now, as I pull up my chair, Manu, what happened? What happened in Germany? I mean, I don't understand the question. And
Okay,
this has caught me.
I know what this person is talking about, and it was fantastic. And this speaks to the magic of the fan base for sci-fi pop culture conventions. I didn't save this convention. I know that they're saying don't let me get out of the way, but it's the fans that made this happen. It was amazing. I went to Germany to a convention called God, what was it called? It was called Star Trek to the Gate, or Fan Trek to the Gate. That's what it was called. And it was supposed to be mega. It was going to have a bunch of actors there, from Harry Potter to Star Trek, sci-fi, everything. I was the only actor. They canceled the convention. They brought so many actors that they went broke and couldn't pay anybody. So they canceled the convention, and they didn't tell me. They told every other actor that was coming except me. So I get on a plane. I got off the plane expecting my car to be there to pick me up, to take me to my hotel. It wasn't. So I took a cab to my hotel, expecting to check in and expecting to go up to my room. There was nothing there for me.
Right,
and
right.
usually when you get to the hotel, if the convention, this was one of those conventions that was actually at the hotel. So you usually expect to see big posters with your face on them and with Comicapalooza or whatever the thing was called.
Right.
Nothing, just an empty, barren hotel in Germany. I walk in and they say, we don't have a room for you. So I panic. I freak out. I try to get in touch with the promoters. They're hiding. They took all the money and ran. They didn't pay the fans back. They had the decency to tell every other celebrity that it wasn't happening, and they stayed home. But I went on Facebook that night, and I had heard from a few people in the lobby, a couple people, that there were a few people, since they'd paid for the hotel, they'd paid for the weekend, that there were people there, even though the convention wasn't happening. So I went on Facebook and I said, well, I'm here, guys. I mean, no big whoop, just old Icheb from Star Trek Voyager, but we could hang out, we could have a lunch, we could do something. If you guys are here and you paid for your tickets, maybe we could walk around the city together, talk Star Trek, whatnot. The next morning, I wake up and there's literally 600 fans. They've gone out of their way. They've booked the hotel convention space, the gathering rooms. There were people started setting up T-shirts, and people from they had the convention anyway, and they just organized it on the spot, all the fans, and we started calling it ManuCon, but it was actually called they called it Fan Trek to the Gate instead of Star Trek. I forget what they called it, but it was amazing, man, because it was it shows the loyalty and the beauty of these fans. They heard that I was in town. All these people had been screwed over. They knew that I'd been screwed over, and they went out of their way to make a convention happen anyways on the spot. And it was one of the most beautiful things that has ever happened to me on the circuit. This convention that popped up out of nowhere because the people would not let it die.
What is it about – look, I know you get asked this all the time, but I'm going to just be straight with me right now if you've ever been, more straight. What is it about Star Trek fans? Something binds them all together, and it's way beyond the definition of phenomenon. It's way, way beyond that. And nothing else out there. There are things that can compare, and people have tried to ride the same, formula. Yeah. But what is it about the Star Trek fans? For an original series that ran for 2.5 years, right? Or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Into what it is today. It's unbelievable.
And they're diehard, and they're loving. And I haven't been on that show for 15 years, and they still care. And they still want to know about what specifics of what happened. Can I answer the question with a big fat I don't know, and then give you my generic answer?
I think because it's the truth, isn't it?
Yeah, the truth is I don't know. It's so surreal that I find myself still involved in this wild phenomenon, like you said. I understand two things. One, spaceships and intergalactic stories are cool. Bottom line, space travel, sci-fi, it's cool. It's fun. But two, there's something behind Star Trek that happened with Gene Roddenberry and his vision of a positive mankind, the way he was able to write sci-fi, get it on television, and talk about, poignant moments and talk about things that are happening in society now, but do it through science fiction. Talk about important things like, the first black and white interracial kiss happened on Star Trek. Star Trek Attacked always was talking about what was happening in society now, but doing it in a very sneaky way through sci-fi metaphor, and to the point where there's a power there that the people behind the love for Star Trek is not a religion, but a positive message for the future of mankind, that we can get it together, that we can get off this planet, that we can go get past our petty differences and become intergalactic travelers, that the human race isn't going to destroy itself. And this man, Gene Roddenberry, he had his own faults. He wasn't a perfect human being by any point, but he had this deep belief in human beings, and he knew how young we were, and he believed how beautiful we were going to be down the road if given enough time and the right opportunity. And that exists within all the people that love Star Trek's hearts. And I think that's mostly what keeps it going. And it almost died, it almost died a few years ago. When Enterprise died, there was no Star Trek for a while. But when J.J. Abrams brought back the original cast and brought back those original characters and then cast them so well, he brought back that love for those characters that it's kind of started the whole thing up, or it's like it's going to go full circle again. So I wouldn't be surprised if Star Trek, it gets to 100 years old or 150 years old. But it also started this phenomenon of the pop culture convention.
Yeah, and JJ also had a really good script, and the movie was very watchable.
Yeah,
there's that part. I don't think it'll ever go away. But this is the thing. You go back to that famous SNL skit with Shatner. When he, can't you, get a life?
Get a life,
right?
Yeah.
And you just think about the answer from any of those fans. Well, okay, but back in season 2, episode 3. They just don't relate to that because that is their life.
Well, because Shatner's not the voice for Star Trek. He's just the guy that played Kirk.
Right. That's exactly it.
Yeah. And what was really trippy was the 50th anniversary this year. And I was on stage with Shatner, George Takei, and Walter Koenig. And Nichelle Nichols wasn't there, but the 3 surviving boys from the original cast.
Right.
And these men hate each other. They hate each other. They don't talk to each other. There is such a rampant disconnect between those 3 gentlemen. They it's palpable on stage. They wouldn't even stand next to each other. And you could sense the bickering and the dislike for them. And I found that so sad. Same thing like the episode you're talking about where Shatner goes out and disses them all, and they're like, whatever. Here's these 3 guys that were a part of creating something so beautiful, but their petty differences, they're going to go to their deathbeds hating each other. That it really bummed me out in my stomach, and it hurt, and it made me sad. And I was talking to one of the fans later that night, and I was talking to them about it. And the fan was this cool guy from Germany, and he was like, "Oh, don't worry about it. There's dysfunction in every family." And when he said that, it chilled me right out. He said it's not about them and their petty differences. It's about the art they created. It's about the show they created and the positive outlook that it gives us. It's not about them, and it's not about you. It's about the concept of betterment, the betterment of mankind. And I think that's what these fans get behind more than anything else.
You know what I didn't do tonight, and it's only because the conversation was so wonderful. We didn't take any phone calls, and I feel really bad about that. So I'm going to do this. Because I just got notes in here from our producer. Why didn't we do phone calls tonight?
Yeah,
I'll take 1 or 2 phone calls right now. 323-825-5045. We'll just do it right now. 323-825-5045. CBS, if they had any clue back then, I have no idea why it got canceled, but they really made a bad mistake. And the original series, to me, was so wonderfully perfect. There were things about it. The cheesy aspect of it, for me when I was a kid, was actually some of the best parts. And it was about the story, it was about characters, and it was about culture. What was going on back then in the late 60s, the country was literally in turmoil, and the series represented all of that.
All of it. And it did a good job of doing that throughout all of its incarnations. And that's the power of Star Trek, why it's lasted.
And I wanted to ask you about Walter. What's he like to hang out with?
Walter's awesome. He's one of the most charismatic soft-spoken, intelligent, funny, deeply into acting. Really, really loves acting. He's old school. He's a professional, and he's a sweetheart. He's just a really funny, caring, nice guy. I love hanging out with Walter.
Everybody that I've met from Star Trek, everybody I've hung out with Doohan. Celeste Yarnell.
Yeah.
She was Walter's. I just thought about that. She was Walter's girlfriend, right?
In the show?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I think so. Yeah. I just put that together. But everybody that I've hung out with has just been totally cool. And
he was actually one of the first guys I approached about the circuit. And when I pitched him the idea, I said, "Look, we're not all necessarily going to play ourselves. It depends a lot on the writing, but a lot of us will in false situations,
And what about Walter?
But Walter was immediately on board, and we had a few ideas for storylines for him, and he was down with every one of them, and he just loved the concept of, oh my God, like, let's tell sci-fi stories. And because he loves the same thing I do. I miss the anthology film. I miss the anthology TV series, like Amazing Stories and The Twilight Zone and Tales from the Crypt, and all those great anthology TV series where it's a new story every week. I miss that, and I think all the actors on board do. So we're going to get a chance to jump into that again and try to recreate that. And the dream for the circuit in the end would be to make the anthology film and then let it keep living on as a series, like on Netflix or Hulu or Amazon or HBO or whatever, and just keep it going.
Now, before I let you go, it's going to be too late for phone calls, and it'll take up too much time, and then we'll have to go to 11 o'clock, and I have to let the network know.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry, guys.
It's just the way that it goes. But now,
where to watch the circuit film?
Yeah, where's the best? Where do they go to submit ideas? Is there a trailer up on the website?
There's a short teaser up with Tim Russ if you go to www.thecircuitfilm.com. Next week, the new website will be up. It'll blow your mind. It looks amazing. We've got the old website up now. It's still fantastic. There'll be new teasers every week for the next 10 weeks. And then the big budget trailer that we've spent most of our budget on is going to premiere September 20th when we launch the campaign on Kickstarter.
Okay.
And you can follow it at social media on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, everywhere basically at The Circuit Movie, but then the website is The Circuit Film.
So the Kickstarter campaign isn't official yet on the website?
No, but next week it will announce, and I'm basically announcing on your show now, September 20th is the date.
I can't wait to get you back on, and we'll follow all of this up. And this was one of the best conversations that I've done literally hundrds and hundreds.
Oh, you say that to everybody.
No, I do not, sir. This is
Jimmy.
Yeah, man. And not only that, but you got to come over and break bread with us. Okay?
Yeah, man, that'd be great.
I'll talk to you. Thank you so much. Manu Intiraymi. Thank you so much, Manu. And again, it is thecircuitfilm.com. Now, I just want to say this. Intiraymi, right? But I just like saying Intiraymi. Manu. There you go. Thecircuitfilm.com. And this is the thing. And I've had one of my favorite things to do is to talk to actors and to talk to comedians, as you guys know, and musicians, and get them on here. Because with Fade to Black, it's about those conversations. We can bring on the best authors and researchers and discuss these subjects of the paranormal. But it's when I speak to actors and creative people and their interactions with that stuff, for me, is where the education starts. This is Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. I'll be right back.
Vivica Fox here, and and you are listening to my boy, Jimmy Church, on jimmychurchradio.com.
Despite popular opinion, reading a book will not make you smarter.
But listening to Jimmy Church will.
Does your basement or crawl space have a damp, musty smell? Well, watch out. That's a sign of too much moisture and not enough ventilation. And that can mean increased mold growth and the buildup of harmful toxins and gases. Don't bother with a dehumidifier. It just circulates the same unhealthy air. Now there's a better way to remove these dangers and odors. It's with the computerized Wave Moisture Control Unit that reduces moisture and expels pollutants.
We replaced our old dehumidifier with the Wave unit, and in only 3 weeks, our basement is dry and the musty smell is gone.
Wave units require no maintenance, no buckets of water or filters, and costs only pennies a day to run. Breathe better, live healthier with an affordable, no-maintenance Wave unit. Call 888-618-WAVE, 888-618-WAVE, or visit mydryhome.com, mydryhome.com.
Ride the wave. Wave Home Solutions for a healthy, comfortable home.
What's up, Fadernauts? Studio Dome loves Fade to Black and the F2B audience so much that they have put together the ultimate stereo Bluetooth system. They've done it just for you. Man, check this out. The Studio Dome SBB2 stereo system is here. It's featuring 2 Studio Boombox 2 SBB2 wireless Bluetooth speakers, packed in its own custom hardshell case. This Studio Dome system features the very latest in stereo Bluetooth technology. The 2 full-range boomboxes are in true wireless stereo. You've got to hear this. It's amazing. It's just $129, and use the promo code JCRTWS, and you'll also get free shipping. It's simple. Just go to jimmychurchradio.com, click on the Studio Dome banner. Go Beckley Teppy.
This is Kristen, Erica, Brittany, Gabby, and you're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com.
It's not a lifestyle we chose. We were born this way. KGRARadio.com.
This is KJCR at JimmyChurchRadio.com.
Welcome back to Fade to Black. Manu Intiraymi, thank you so much. That was one of the conversations that I like to have on the show. Right there, man. I know you guys are jealous, but you're also very, very spoiled. And there you go. The website is thecircuitfilm.com. And, with all of not only the Star Trek fans that listen to this show, but sci-fi, time travel, everything that we talk about every night, if you think about it, you probably have an idea in your head that you've been wanting to get out there for a while. Now's time to do that. Submit. Go to thecircuitfilm.com and submit. I would do it. All right, a couple of things really quick I wanted to get out there before I let you guys go with all of the news that you know nothing about. A wave of suicide bombings hit 3 Saudi Arabian cities over the last 24 hours. The attacks came on the heels of massive jihadi assaults in the Muslim world last week that have all been tied to ISIS. This completely bums me out. I don't understand what is going on, but 2 of the attacks failed today, but 4 people were killed in the third, all of which appear to be coordinated, targeting both Saudi security forces and Western interest. The first occurred before dawn near the U.S. consulate in Jeddah, and the attacker killed himself after detonating an explosive. Doesn't make any sense. In Qatif, in eastern Saudi Arabia, a suicide bomber attempted to launch an attack at a Shiite mosque, but failed, killing himself in the process. The deadliest occurred in Medina, where 6 people were killed and another person was wounded. And that was the last count right before the show tonight. I don't understand this. I really don't understand what's going on. And not to say that us in the West really have ever understood, but this is it seems to be getting out of control. And tonight, during the show, about 20 minutes ago, actually, Juno hit its brakes. It will fire its main engines for 35 minutes, starting at around 8:18 p.m. Pacific time, 11:18 Eastern. And that should have slowed the spacecraft by about 1,212 miles per hour, or 542 meters per second, and allow it to be pulled into orbit around Jupiter. And that was at about 9:30 p.m., about 25 minutes ago, before Juno sends back tones indicating whether it has successfully completed the engine firing. If the maneuver doesn't work, the solar-powered space probe's batteries might die before it swings back around Jupiter to face the sun. And as I put all of this together today, I was thinking, now, why no backup batteries? You know, to swing back around, it doesn't make any sense to me, but hopefully everything is just fine. And out there in the Twitterverse, hit me in Twitter and let me know that Juno was actually successful. Chris Evans, his stint as the host of Top Gear is over after just one season. He said that he was resigning from the BBC's money-making machine to focus on his radio show. He bailed. And according to his tweet today, and I'm quoting here, he said, "I gave it my best shot, but sometimes it's not enough." Now, his decision to quit follows media reports of tension with co-host and former Friends star Matt LeBlanc. I think it has more to do with poor ratings, but that's just my opinion. Sunday's finale drew only 1.9 million viewers on the night, and the series was averaging just over 4 million per episode. Now, before season 23 began in late May, the BBC's Top Gear had an estimated global audience of 350 million people. The most successful, widely viewed television series on planet Earth. They had local versions here in the States, China, France, South Korea, and Italy. Rumors are that it was down to about an average, about 150 million worldwide, down from 350 million. Now, check this out. As far as drug mules go, it's a drug horse. A jewel-studded horse head was an unlikely choice. Yeah, guaranteed to attract attention. New Zealand customs officials were stunned when they found $14 million worth of cocaine. New Zealand police have arrested 3 men, 2 Mexican nationals and an American, over what they say is the country's biggest ever drug haul. Now, they're trying to find the 4th man that was found in the security videos. The jeweled horse sculpture weighed 400 kilograms. It was detected by customs officers after it was sent to New Zealand from Mexico in May. Hidden in the neck of the horse were 35 bricks of cocaine. Yeah, as if that wasn't going to attract attention. Like I said, it adds a whole new definition to a drug mule, drug horse. This is Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. Fade to Black's executive producer is Rita Kamarian. Show is produced by Hilton J. Paul, Mark D. Kovar, LJ3, Renee, Mark Dunbar, Jonas. Thank you, Dennis. Thank you, Bob. Announcers are Steve Harder, Gene Vito, and Mark D. Kovar. Fady by Dale. Webmaster Drew the Geek. Music Doug Aldridge. Intro Spaceboy. Fade to Black is produced by KJCR for the Game Changer Network. Syndication KGRA The Planet. Thank you.